So. The attachment is what happened to your reserve fund? They took replace it. They want. Ready? August 26th, board meeting to order. I'll stand for a moment of silence. I plan to read Let's see. Establish a quorum. All board members are here. Cassie Reyes is our new executive secretary. The minutes.
I move we accept the minutes previous meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Report. Do you have any correspondence?
No, we have no correspondence, so nothing to report.
Report.
Yes, the motel revenues at $35,596, $4,000 up from July last year. RV park is up about $20,000 of revenue at $29,551. Total income $260,788. Expenses $211,000 and change, with a net income before depreciation $49,007. We're sitting on 1.2 million. So the bank, a lot of that's the ERC money.
And most people probably already know that we've hired a new GM. One moment. New GM, Patrick Kriminger is his name. He will be starting with us on September 5th, right after Labor Day. I hope that everybody will give him time to settle in and get a lay of the land before we bombard him with everything. He's looking forward to being here, and we're excited to have him. Let's see, we have a new to us washing machine, an additional washing machine for the motel. The previous one just couldn't be fixed. It was installed the other day. But unfortunately, I guess it wants quarters, so that may be our saving plan for a new one after. But we'll get that fixed. Let's see, we had an outstanding bill from 2021 for a previous accounting firm that we've settled with and saved about $2,500 off of that bill. We inherited it and it was sitting there, so we got him to knock some money off and cleared it off the books. Let's see, we have 2 backhoes that are currently being fixed. Might not.
Not working.
We rented a backhoe to go ahead and do the brush pickup. I know everybody's seen that around. I think the only thing we have left is probably pecan, but we're aware of the piles over there. Security, it looks like they've found a truck for their new security vehicle. So we will be looking snazzy, well, new to us. You already know that the Las Morris Restoration Committee has worked on changing the pump housing and everything for the pool so that you can now get all the way around the pool because they've rerouted how the water goes and we have a quick disconnect. It also means that if we want to circulate water, we can actually pump it out and pump it right back in just to, if we end up in a low flow situation and just want to keep the water moving. They're also looking at working on the handicap access within the next month or 2. The Eclipse, the committee is up and running and we already have, I think, 23 rooms booked approximately. And the rate is $300 a night with a 3-night minimum. So we're already halfway there for next year, which is awesome. And I need to correct that the Eclipse committee is not a board committee. It is under community council. Thank you. I want to say Port Clark Days, community council. But the board and the Eclipse committee are working, not the board, the association and the Eclipse committee are working together. And I'm sure they're still looking for volunteers. The work on the admin courtyard, hopefully we'll start once it cools down now that we're almost to September.
Temperature goes down.
Yeah. We still do not have the food going at the pro shop. They've had to return 2 different defective hot dog rollers. The first one was electrical and the second one just came broken. So we're looking at a different source and we'll hopefully have one soon. The accountant, I should be hearing from him next week on the 2022 tax returns and the start date for the audit. And they've also been simultaneously working on the 2023. So we are caught up on that type of stuff also. So when we go to do the 23 audit, we're already prepared. We're not going to have to do as much rushing around for that. We have a lot to get through today, and I would just ask that everyone stay on topic if there's a discussion and keep it brief. That's all I have for the board. Oh, and I don't know if everybody saw it, but AEP donated $5,000 to the Port Clark Days Committee for next year, which is awesome. So now, let's tell Rio Grande that so they can get a little competition going there. All right, the committee reports. Airport. Do we have one?
I didn't see an
Okay,
airport.
no report from the airport. Architectural.
Since your last meeting, we've approved 8 building permits. We've received several violation complaints from members and have addressed those violations with the owners. We're working with people who have received violation letters to resolve the issues on their property. We've sent 2 variance issues to you. One has been resolved and the other one's on today's agenda. We currently have 2 people interested in joining our committee and they're attending meetings as required to see if they want to apply. We were not able to meet once this past month due to the lack of a quorum.
Thank you. Yeah, do we have anything from the golf committee?
Not seen.
Preservation is still on break. So recycling.
Yeah.
I'm moving this microphone. I don't know if I talk to you, talk to the folks.
Sideways.
We got $1,245 for our shipment of cardboard. That was done in June, thanks to Christine and Philip in maintenance. So that's great. We also got a $5,000 donation, which is amazing, anonymous donor. So that'll go towards the storage facility. And the only other thing to report is we're gonna close September 2nd for the holiday, the Labor Day holiday. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excuse me, we're gonna earmark those $1,500, correct?
Yeah.
They'll be earmarked for recycle.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent that note to accounting when I gave them the check.
Right.
Yeah, they
He's like, you're making sure. Last warrant.
Oh, excuse me, we have a email from Chris Hale regarding the Las Morris Restoration Committee report. Work done in the last month, one grading in 3 locations and also adding a berm to try and prevent or at least minimize runoff damage to the swim park and bathrooms during a heavy rain. 2, everything is complete in the rebuild of the bathrooms except urinal installation. 3, rebuild of the pipe apparatus to eliminate obstruction of the sidewalk. You mentioned that on the north side of the pool. He says a recommendation has been made to the board for an alteration that would improve disability access to the pool. A grant application has been made for replacement of the lights on the vintage light poles around the pool and swim park with solar, dark sky friendly lights. Although exact best lights to use haven't been located yet. That's from Chris Hannah.
You know, a couple of people went down after the rain and it was about 85% effective with the regrading of the water runoff. So that's good news. Unfortunately, not enough rain to fill up the space. Let's see, solar eclipse. Is there anything to report at the moment?
Not a whole much to report aside from our next meeting will be this next upcoming Wednesday at 6 p.m. We are definitely still looking for volunteers and ideas. We have a lot to plan. As was mentioned, we are getting reservations, so people are going to be coming. So please come. Ideas, help, we need it. Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question? How are we going to deal with the winter Texans? Are they gonna be able to stay another month? Is it going to be charged to them? I'm just curious, because that was batted around at one point, and I don't think we got anywhere with it.
Well, it's up to them to make those reservations and set up that situation. I mean, they know the eclipse is coming, so.
But I think they set aside those to get them.
So if you come for the winter, say, so to stay longer, you pay more.
No,
The same amount for April. That's it.
You're just coming in at the beginning.
So it's not gonna be some exorbitant. No.
Excellent.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
I think recreation is still on hiatus until next. Find out about that. Community council report.
We are still on hiatus, but you'd never know it. Based on what our members have been doing. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Fort Clark Day's co-chairs, Francis, Christina, and especially Steve Fox, Dennis Left. They've been out, those 2 gentlemen usually raise a big bulk of the money that we go into Fort Clark Days with. And these people were specifically involved in that $5,000 grant. that was received from AEP for Fort Clark Days 2024. Just a reminder that AEP did give $1,500 for 2023 and has promised $1,500 for 2024, in addition to this $5,000. So, like I said, we're on hiatus, but the members are very involved. You've already heard the eclipse report. I don't think we have a Fort Clark Days report right now, except for the date of the meeting is in September.
First meeting is September 6th at 6 p.m.
September 6th,
At
September 6th at 6 here.
Mhm.
The next community council meeting will be on the 9th of September. We start at 10. It's preceded by a brief community council board meeting at 9:30. And at that time, we're going to, let me back up. I did send you our September agenda by email, and Christina's getting that to each of you if you haven't gotten it directly from me. We need to post our agenda in 2 prominent locations, and I was hoping that the dispatch would qualify as one of those, and then perhaps a poster at the duplication of the dispatch at the gate would serve for that notice. We will be appointing a nominating committee at our November community council meeting because we have 2 positions that will be open in January, and that's the president and the treasurer, right? President and treasurer. In our September meeting, we will be taking nominations from the floor for the unexpired secretary's position. And that position is until January of 2025. And you need volunteers for that.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara. Thanks. We had 2 email votes this month. Oh, one of the email votes was for the 6,500 for the accounting firm that we settled with. And then the second was for backhoe repairs. We approved up to $20,000 for both backhoes. Hopefully it will come in under that amount, but we're just not sure until they get all the way into it.
Was it repaired on the meantime?
Yeah.
It was all encompassing.
Yeah. All right, action item number 1, which is what everybody's voting for. The CPI assessment calculations. This is 2.97%, over June of last year. June of this year versus June of last year is 2.97, which would equate to about the total. If we go with that rate, the regular membership would increase to $52.90, which is a $1.40 increase. The residential would increase to $47.36, which is $1.37 increase. We're also looking at rounding the numbers off so that we can get back to a whole number, because the accounting, the amount it costs us in accounting is crazy. Having the sense, if you're looking for a discrepancy with all those pennies, it makes it really difficult to find, to make sure everything is posted correctly. So that is where we are at with the discussion. I don't know if we necessarily want to vote on it today or just discuss it. I have,
I'll say what I think I need to say on it. I think from where I sit and being here for a few months and seeing the ongoings of the fort, my position would be that I think, is it fair to ask the membership to give us more money when we're not certain that the fort's being well managed and that it's being ran at max efficiency? We've already found, as a group, we've already found some of those issues and we've already eliminated them, or we're working to, some of those are on the agenda, working on eliminating them. And they're big ticket items, it's a lot of money. And one of them is almost the exact amount that's being raised in the dues in the event that this was voted in. And so I think my position would just be that I don't think it's fair to go to the membership and ask for a raise in their dues when we can't, I can't, with confidence say that we've done our due diligence to make sure that everything in every department of the fort is being ran the way that it should, that we're as efficient as we can be. Otherwise, we're just asking for money that we're not 100% sure where it's going. So essentially just saying, I don't even have enough information to make a decision of, oh yeah, we need to increase, because I can't personally say we need to increase. We don't have that information. But what we do know is that there's things that we can cut and there's things that we can alter. And we've done some of that already that does make a big change in the overall budget and the overall cost of the fort from month to month. I think we need to focus on that before we worry about increasing the dues on the membership. And once we have that in order, if next year we come back, we say, guys, we've narrowed this down, we whittled this down to a sharp spear, and we still need to do this increase in order to achieve this goal. I think that hopefully the membership by that time will understand and agree, certainly not maybe a majority or whatever, but would understand our position of why we want to go up on the rates, because we've done our due diligence.
John, I certainly understand what you're saying, and it's never a popular thing to raise taxes. Okay, and I phrase it that way because it is the duty and the obligation of every governing board, whether it's municipal, county, or like we are, homeowners association. But I'd like to point out, just in the short time that this board has been a complete board, I think that we have discovered a mammoth amount of waste in your money that has been spent by a previous administration, and in particular having to do with a prior general manager. I'm not going to get specific about that, but there were, and nor am I saying that he actually spent the money, but it was a matter of focusing the attention on the things that needed the attention in order to save the waste that has occurred. So I would have to agree, and I know we haven't voted on this yet, but I would have to agree that my sentiment is that we need a little more time to really get our hands on the big picture of how the money is being managed and the money that we have available before we increase the burden on the membership. And it's going to come when that needs to be done. And hopefully it is in an amount that is what I think, I mean, a dollar is a dollar, no doubt about it. But what I think is a minimal increase in order to sustain not only what obligations we currently have, but to sustain the obligations we may incur in order to improve what's happening here on the fort for the benefit of the members. And so I'm not sure that I said a whole lot to you, except that I think that now is not the time to increase that burden, as minimal as it may be, because we are coming across things that I think we can improve on in the management of the affairs of the fort. And I'm proud to say that I think we've come across things that we have already improved on in the management of the affairs of the fort. And I'm really, Bill, I see you raising your hand back there, but I think we have a policy that if you want to make a statement about it, you need to come up
After we
Look,
discuss.
yeah,
after we've had our discussion, okay?
Okay.
So we'll be opening that up.
Rest assured, the last 3 months have been a big eye opener for me, because I've now been called on a regular basis to sign checks. Often wonder why I wasn't called more often to come sign checks. But I agree with John and Tony, that's probably my current position, not to do anything with the assessments. However, what is the deadline? Is there a deadline, Lisa, for us to reach, or we can just go till next year?
We would have to, at the latest, vote on it next board meeting.
Next month.
And to round it off, just to the even number would be $98, and it would be a 51-cent increase.
241.
Either.
277 for both.
It'd be 51 cents.
51
51
cents,
cents.
just to round it off to make it easier for county.
So it would be $52 for the membership and 46 for the residential. Instead of, what do we have? 51.50 and 45.99 is what they're at right now.
You have to print the slips. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well,
We're
yeah,
gonna
we were
discuss
gonna
that.
If you're gonna
discuss
do
that,
that,
yeah,
yeah.
and see.
The coupons.
Yeah.
Well, I got something to say about that, but when we get to
Okay. Tony, do you have any?
it.
No.
Tony?
Jason.
No.
Tony, over here.
I mean, I'd like to
Okay,
raise them
okay.
if we had a reason to and a good plan to do with the money, but so let's investigate more.
I think we had a couple of,
Bill had his hand up first.
if you wanna come up,
Well, let me ask you something, we make a coupons.
we can.
Bill Herman, I just have a question. I appreciate what you just said about finding mistakes, et cetera, but my only contention or thought would be, what about the outside expenses? In other words, electricity, water, whatever, supplies, et cetera, gasoline, we have no control over that.
No, we don't, but the problem is that the issue is that we find where the waste is at, we can cover that, and there's ample waste.
I understand that, but all I'm saying is that part of the raise would be going toward, because of outside expenses as opposed to internal problems.
Yeah, things
Yes.
that we can't really control.
Right, I mean, insurance for the board, employees' insurance, gasoline, whatever. Now, you can cut down on the usage, but the prices still can go up. That's my point.
And we've seen that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank
Absolutely.
you.
Morning, Curtis Benham. So. Sorry about that. First off, I appreciate the fact that the board is consciously competent. You know that you don't know stuff. I don't mean that as an insult, I mean that as a compliment. You know that there are things you don't know. Okay, so I appreciate that. But I would encourage you all to look at keeping the assessments as low as reasonable, not as low as possible. There's a difference there, and it's important. I think that the board and the fort needs flexibility that 2.1 or whatever % increase would incur. It's minimal, but it allows you to have the flexibility. You guys are already talking about finding additional waste. and I'm sure you will, but if it doesn't cover what you think it's gonna cover, now we're in a hole again, and we're once again scraping for pennies. When, with a modest increase now, you guys would have the flexibility to position the fort to be more successful in the future, so I would like you to think about that. And also keep in mind that if we don't raise assessments at all, or we get into this pattern of never raising them or raising them as low as possible, we're actually running the risk of hurting the very people that the fort and the board are saying that they're trying to be aware of, because if the fort has problems or we end up having to cut services, those kinds of things, the very people that you're trying to help are the ones that will be impacted the most by lack of garbage pickup, other issues, because they don't have the flexibility that other people might have. So I would like you all to take that into your consideration. And I would also encourage you that because you don't have to vote today, don't. Think about it. You've got another, you can put this ahead, you can hear from more people on the fort. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But I think that the fort needs to maintain the flexibility of having increases come in. And I have to piggyback off of what Bill said. There's a lot of costs that aren't included in that number. That 2.9 or whatever, the figure that you figured out, the CPI, it's artificial. All you have to do is go to the gas station and know that the last few months, okay, so having a modest increase now, a very modest increase, positions the fort to have more flexibility in case things turn south in the next whatever. So I would encourage us not to cut our nose out, spite our face, and to keep in mind that the CPI does not cover everything or doesn't show everything that's currently happening, especially gas prices, which impact electricity. It impacts all of the repairs you're doing to the backhoe, because parts have to be shipped. People have to drive to all of that. So just keep that in mind, please.
Curtis, just to go down memory lane, the last two votes, I voted yes for a modest increase, and last year they went full throttle for the CPI increase, and I voted no last year. So there's been two increases in the last 2 years.
I agree, but if our costs are going up, then we may have to increase the cost it is to live here. That's what I'm saying. We can't say that we're going to make it all up with efficiencies when you don't know what those efficiencies may or may not be. I'm encouraging the board to remain flexible and be open to the fact that you may have to slightly raise the rates. The fact that they go up every year, okay, that's because our costs go up every year. And in this case, they're going up more than what that CPI tells you they're going up, in my opinion. So I'd ask you to keep that in mind.
I don't disagree with you at all. But I've often seen governing bodies or boards simply vote for the increase just because they can. And I don't think that's the right approach either. And I have friends who probably whose mouths would drop open after hearing me say what I just said. Because I'm a pretty liberal spender, truth be known. But you understand that we have, just in the short time that we have been able to work together, we have discovered, and I keep calling it waste, but it is a misuse of resources that we have. But I really genuinely appreciate your comments about that. And that's probably going to urge me to move on to vote in favor of the increase. But
Well, I'll say this in closing, and I appreciate your time, and I apologize for having my back to the audience. I hope you can hear me okay. Is that hindsight's 2020, and you guys have discovered things that give you hope for the future. That's great, but you don't know what's coming down the pike. I don't want us to be fearful. I don't want us to be afraid, but I want the fort to be also looking at having the flexibility to deal with issues that we don't know what's going to happen. And we're not talking about the 90% or whatever we're last year. We're talking about a 50 cent-ish increase that for individuals, it's an increase, but in the aggregate, it's very powerful. So it's a win for the fort members, and that they're not getting hammered with a large increase. It's a win for the fort itself as an entity and the board, and that you will have monies to be flexible in order to move the fort forward. We keep talking about wanting to go do neat things for the fort. Well, that takes money.
Thank you.
So that's mine.
Hi, Charlene.
I'm Charlene Simmons, and I've lived here for 28 years, and we have had the same problem for years and years of not raising the assessments, letting it go down, 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 and that's why our fort is in the shape that it's in today. All the buildings need repaired, the roads need repaired, all the equipment needs to be repaired. We're in very bad shape, and that's why we're not attracting people to come here. I said 28 years ago when I got here, I said, the assessments are only whatever they were then. And I said, I can't believe that. Everywhere else was paying 4 times that amount. I have friends that lived here for many years. They were school teachers. They came from Canada every year and spent the summer. They got tired of the big hole right beside their house, the road. They got tired of things not being fixed. And so they moved to Florida. You know what they paid for their assessments there? $1,000 a month. But they had everything repaired, everything done. I know we'll get people that will fuss. I'm on a fixed income. I get nothing. Everybody's on a fixed income. I get nothing but Social Security and a little bit of a retirement. So it would be hard if you went up really high, but you do need to raise these assessments. And I know there's going to be people that are going to bitch and complain. But that's what this place is. Everybody bitches and complains. It's true. And you guys have a thankless job, and I appreciate you very, very much. But everybody is going to fuss about everything you do. So keep that in mind. Have a strong body and a strong mind and a strong will, because you're going to get it.
Charlene, you missed,
you,
and have a
Charlene.
strong faith.
Yes, a strong faith.
Thank you.
For your input. And I agree with what everybody said, but I also agree with Tony and the others on the board that we do have a lot of insufficiencies and a lot of issues. I would, for my opinion, I would say that we hold off and vote in September. I would like to say we do have options. If we do not raise the rates or we raise them just marginally, we have what's called a special assessment that can be done if we have a deficiency. So if we get into a bind, like could happen, we can do a one-time assessment to the membership. It's not something I would want to do, but we are not necessarily boxing ourselves into a complete corner if we don't raise them. But I do appreciate what you've said, and we'll definitely take that all into consideration. Sure.
Curtis, you're always hiding back there. Just something to think about. You bring up a really good point, and I certainly don't disagree with it. But I think some of the inefficiencies that we're talking about, or some of the things they could possibly change, is that we're only charging $70 to $75 for a hotel room a night. If we just went up $2 a night, that would almost cover 50% of this raise. And so there's some things that we could do, whether it's the things that generate income on the board, whether it's finding those inefficiencies, raising the price a little bit on the hotel, raising the price on the RV $1 or $2 a night, whatever it is, to kind of make up some of that difference. But I mean, I think the overall assessment increase was $2.77. 51 cents is just the rounding of the numbers. So obviously 51 cents is a lot different than $2.77. But I think that's kind of where we're going. Like there's some other things we could look at doing as well to generate more income instead of trying to pull it out of the members when we don't really know right now where it's all going. When we do on paper, But you know what I'm saying? It's business. There's holes everywhere.
Agreed, there's also a difference between guaranteed income for budgeting purposes and increasing rates of the hotel. Particularly the gas prices continue to rise.
Right.
That's what I meant, and I'm sorry, I don't take the time to go all the way from, I won't let me sit down and sit up here. That's why I encourage you to take a look at everything that you're doing and maybe take a blended approach. You realize you don't know everything. Just continue with that, work through that, find what you can do. Maybe it's a combination.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Lisa, just out of curiosity, if we were to round it out to $98, would we have 51-cent increase today? Out of curiosity, how big of an impact would that be on accounting? I know it's a 51-cent increase, but as far as making it easier for accounting and everybody else.
I mean, it's a huge, I think it would be a huge impact on man hours to just rounding.
So that right there would save money, right? Mike?
Yes.
We can settle this down today with 51-cent increase?
Maybe we should just wait until next month, discuss it more. But then once it's just decide, right?
We do have time
Okay.
for one more month.
Now, we're talking about the coupons?
Yes. That wasn't in the
Yeah.
specifics, but,
I'm glad you mentioned the coupons because I wanted to mention is that my experience with the coupons, it's been a big waste of money and time to prepare those things. Thus, because most people pay either they come up or they have automatic draft. If my opinion and my request is that we do not do coupons this year, but let it be known via dispatch, whoever wants coupons can come in and pick up coupons. But just the cost and paper and man hours, that's another issue of waste. I mentioned it last year and I got ignored, so I'm bringing it up again. No coupons unless requested by the member. And then if we have to mail them out, that's more cost than postage.
You have a new dispatch person, maybe she could put a dispatch out saying this is what it is for 1 lot, 2 lots, 3 lots. You cut it out, you put it in like wherever you pay your
Perfect.
bills, it's all in writing and it costs you nothing.
Perfect.
you mean like on a monthly
No,
basis?
it's right there.
You mean on a monthly basis?
Well, monthly or whatever. Yeah,
I mean,
monthly
we
for a
do-
while would be a good idea, I would imagine after.
Dispatch doesn't cost anything.
Yeah,
Yes, and we don't, I mean, the letter does go out to everybody also when the rate increase, so on there it could say there won't be coupons.
right, but
Unless
you have that
unless
thing, you
requested.
have that thing that you could cut out and put somewhere, you don't need it right now.
That sounds incredibly efficient. I wish everybody would adopt.
Well, the way I run my, Bill Herman again, the way we run our household is when we get a bill in the mail, we pay it. So if you're not gonna send me a bill, how am I gonna know to pay it?
You have your coupon book, all you
Well-
request it.
Then,
Just request a coupon book and we'll give it to you.
okay, give me a coupon book.
We'll give you the instruction or later date to come pick it up.
Well, I think everybody else feels if we can table the whole thing and vote on it all together.
Only.
Do I have a motion? Either.
I'll make a motion to table it until next month.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Make this one comment though. Bill, you said you pay your bills when they send you a bill. When you bought property here, you knew that you have this bill to pay. So is it really necessary to remind you every month that you have this bill to pay?
Well, it's a record for me,
The dispatch would have.
that's paid.
Okay.
Checkbook.
And I'll be able to get, I'm not arguing with you, to give you a point of information. For the last 7 months, my wife cheated Fort Clark out of $1 a month because she had a dog. Okay? Last month, when I came in and paid it, I was told, now this is 7 months ago,
cheating you out of $1 a month. It was a mistake, out of actually cheating. So I was told here, I came in to pay, I was told, hey, you owe $7 plus $25 late fee. So I got a notice.
But that part about the notice, that's an issue that we are working on resolving.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I shared with all of you at our town hall meeting that I didn't pay 1 cent in assessment, thinking that it was being automatically drafted, and it wasn't. So that's an issue that we are resolving. We're clearing it up.
So in the sense like that, then you were at fault and you were cheating at fault because you knew you had to pay a bill and you didn't. Is that not true?
He thought it was, yeah.
I
thought it was being
I
paid.
thought it
I
was being paid.
understand that.
But what I think he's saying is that, let's clarify, it's totally different. If you don't have your ACH set up to monthly automatically withdraw, Tony, did you go through the process to set up it to be withdrawn from your bank account through the proper channels?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
I recommend everyone do that. I would never pay my stuff. You think I go check the post office? No, absolutely not. Everything is automated. I look at my bank statement every month. It says how much was charged. I have 2, 3 different accounts with 3, 4, 10, 12 different properties on here. It's in the bank statement. I mean,
I think what
it
you
gets
are
paid. You raise it $1, it gets paid.
Yeah.
You know?
what you are pointing out though, Bills, that's a lot of the stuff that we're seeing. And going back to the CPI, that's a lot of stuff that we're seeing that it makes it really hard to know for a fact that everything is in the compartment the bucket it should be in, right? And a lot of times if you don't know, then buckets start puking either a negative or a positive number. You're either getting really good news or really bad news. So that's the kind of stuff that we need to figure out, which Tony started.
Next item is the gun club lease. This may have to go to executive session. I'm not sure if everybody had a chance to look at the lease. If there are issues, then we can take it up in executive session.
I don't have an issue with the lease. I've read through it multiple times. And I would assume that if it's in our packet, we can talk about the context of the lease. But in Article 2 of the lease, it has a clause for canceling the lease, and it says each party can cancel the lease by 90-day calendar day written notice to the other party pursuant of Section 6.01 of this lease, which is just a written, basically a written statement. Should the gun club cancel this lease, and any all improvements constructed on the lease premises will be the property of the association for Clark. And if the association cancels the lease, the association will reimburse the gun club for the value of any and all improvements remaining on the lease premise. So I think we kind of got to set up like what this is all about. And what this is about is the gun club's requesting a 10-year lease on the 400 acres or the 60 acres of what it is. And they're asking for that length of time so that they can do modifications to the gun grounds that is going to cost them significant investment. And with that investment, they want to have some assurance that they'll get their money's worth. And for me, and years behind Tony, but I look at a lot of contracts, and this canceling policy of this contract is completely reasonable to me. And in the event that somehow the association and the gun club got sideways, we'd be paying for an improvement on our property that we rightly should pay for, because it's our property. So I've read through this. I see absolutely no problems with it personally, but that's what I'll say.
I move we accept the lease as written.
Can I have a second?
Hold on. Just out of curiosity, if everyone quits tomorrow, there's a new board next month, can they cancel this contract?
Yes.
Or so another board could cancel the contract?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just the association. It's not to the board. It's the association. Or, it doesn't have any language that says to the current board or any language like that that would lock us into just being this body of 5 people.
And we can terminate it at will as well.
We
We're
can
here for
terminate
the
it
next
at
3
will.
years. We can
The only
terminate it.
penalty we receive for terminating it is they would have to legally provide you with a receipt saying we did $1,500 and 36, $1,536 worth of improvements. And we executed, if you divided that over a 10-year period, we executed this amount of the lease, and then you prorate that $1,536 back to them.
Perfect.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second the acceptance of the contract.
All in favor? There are any questions? Yes.
Give me the process. That's the problem.
They brought it to us. Yes, they brought it to us and we've had it to look at. And they have a pretty good list of what they'd like to do, going forward. And included in this is the support of 4 Clark Days. And a lot of really good improvements to the property. So. Any other? Right? Hunting and pricing. That's gonna come up in school list.
That's what I had over there. So, everybody's got. So, you want.
So that I'm clear, the documents that you gave me the other day, it's just mirroring all those documents.
Yeah, that's mirroring all this. I think there's gonna be one extra. First page that you have, that's there, the first page. Let me explain a little bit to y'all.
Okay.
So the hunting program basically is, operates around,
Matt, can you,
Sorry, okay.
the hunting program basically operates around the MLD program. It's managed here. When we start hunting in October, it's based off of the MLD program, which gives you 5 months to hunt. Now that's whitetail, that's not axis. So let's just think about this for a minute in the scheme of things. So you don't have to start hunting in October. You can start hunting whitetail in November or whatever, and at the end of February. So if you don't want to make a decision today, and you want to wait until maybe a couple of weeks, that's fine. You can start whitetail hunting in November, run until the end of February. That's fine. Start your axis hunting, run them later, it doesn't make a difference. My point with this right now is to make y'all, I guess one of the things that y'all bring up before was making money for the fort. Ran this program without y'all having to pay anything for anybody. The employees have done this. Y'all do not pay us for that.
Well, we pay you because you're working.
Yeah, you pay us for working, but you don't actually pay us like you would pay somebody extra for doing it. Your residual income up to now has been almost $100,000 a year for that. For the last few years, you've been including your trapping with your hunting. Now, just off of that, last year on members, well, that's one of the pages that you have in there, which is this one right here, which is your members rate. When I looked at this, I didn't change that. I left it the same. On other ranches for axis deer, the prices change.
because I wanted to give something, it's still under what your average is. Now, you gotta understand this, an axis deer is an axis deer. If I've got a trapper over here that's out here and he's paying you $250 for a doe, and he takes that to the ox ranch, and he's gonna pay, he tells that client, you're paying 600 to 1,000 for that one doe, who's getting the short end of the stick? So that's what you're looking at. There's a business opportunity here for the association. So, just I'm laying that on the table. But the reason why we're here today is over a conversation that we had before because of the number of deer that you currently have on the fort. And the numbers have dropped dramatically, and everybody can tell it. You just go and you look, and it shows for itself. So, in previous years, basically what we've been doing is depredation. We got a lot of deer, just shoot them. Let's get them out of here. That's what you've been doing, not management. We've got MLD, you have to have a management plan. If you're on depredation and you're just shooting deer, that is neither here nor there. If you want to come and you want to do a program where you're actually on a residual income, that's a whole different ballgame. So, let's just keep that in mind. Y'all want to, and this is the question I'm going to ask y'all right now. This is a lot of stuff to comprehend right here. Y'all want to wait another week or two before you make a decision on it? So we can, I'd like to meet with the board on a little bit longer time and explain all this, because there's a lot to explain on it, on how to do this. If we sit down and you stick with this, and then you set the 23, 24 rules and regulations and whatever set for the prices there, which jumps it up to the non-member. I go for residual income and set up a program. It doesn't have to be much, just modest, and you'll make quite a bit more money. I raised the prices. We weren't charging for turkey. We weren't charging for javelina. We weren't charging for all this other stuff. That was all freebies. Now it's a charge for it. So, talking to these trappers that are off these big ranches, they were turning away hunting that were paying big money. Turning them away, turn them away, turn them away. Here you have the option of sitting down and actually setting up a program, which would go through, and it doesn't cost that much money to promote it. I'll just promote it off of Facebook. You can do a lot of stuff that doesn't cost you anything to promote this thing, making you more money.
Well, I thought that we've already made the decision, we're not trapping deer anymore.
No, we're not trapping deer anymore.
Okay, that's done. And yeah, you're right, there's a lot of information to absorb here. But it was my impression that we were gonna get a recommendation from you.
This is my recommendation.
Why don't you put it in a nutshell?
Okay, this right here, your member rates did not change. We left them the same.
I didn't
change.
So what
We
is
had a
the,
member rate.
So this is, we do not give out the member rate. The members get the member rate. We do not make that public.
why not?
Is a member.
That's up to y'all.
But it's a lot less than the other.
It's a lot less than what a member here, if you're paying a one-time fee, not a daily, your one-time seasonal fee to hunt a deer. Once you get that deer, then it's a price of way less price per deer after that, compared to what you are on a person that's a non-member
As it should be.
on a daily rate.
Well, yeah,
Right.
I don't have any,
But my question though is one of our goals is to increase our FRMs. So if they don't know the deal.
No,
with it,
if they call us, we'll give them the FRM rate. So your FRM rate is.
Okay. Okay, I see what you're
I
saying.
think Matt, are you trying to say that I think we kind of spoke about this, but we don't want people buying an FRM, like trying to take a loophole, right? Jump through loopholes where they can buy an FRM for a month, but then get it hunt and all that other stuff.
They have to be a member for at least a year to be eligible for that.
Yeah.
Your resident member, which actually has a property on the fort, is the one that gets the actual full-fledged benefit.
Because I have the rate from last year different than what you're saying it was. I have for a residential that it's 2 per season for 150.
Yes, all right, that was the other deal, but that comes into play, where that comes into play is your number of your deer. So when you're looking at what you're hunting here, and what everybody wants to hunt here is all access. They don't care about whitetail. It's all access deer. So if your numbers have gone down, and now I'm allowing everybody to hunt, okay, you're getting 2, you're getting 2, everybody else is getting 2 on a freebie, then what are you gonna do? Then you've got your other hunters coming. And that's what me and John were talking about, is actually, once we get a deer count, is trying to figure out how many deer, does or buck, that we're gonna allow to be harvested in that year's time.
Well, don't you think before we make a decision that we need the deer count done?
Yeah, so
I mean, I think that's the goal of any wildlife management program, that before you establish a rate or a number of proposed animals to harvest, we've got to have what our deer count is.
yeah, so you have the option today to set that, but the deer count's gonna come in next week.
Okay.
So I've got 2 biologists that are coming in. They're gonna help with a spotlight survey. We're gonna check and see what the county is for whitetail and axis, and see what we're dealing with. So after that, we can get together and you can set the price if you wanna deal with this price, or you wanna change it, or what do you wanna do with it?
There's some problems with what you're saying, and I get it, but one, obviously spotlight survey is not, you're not necessarily going to be able to catalog whether they're whitetail and axis deer. You're just gonna go get an overall count. Now, if they're standing in the wide open on the golf course, you might be able to say, yeah, that's an axis deer, right? But I think if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're talking about is trying to implement a management program
Yes,
for whitetail.
for both.
Okay, but you only need the numbers on axis deer in the event of how many axis we want to harvest.
Yes.
Because you're not going to manage axis deer for mature deer and all that. I mean, they just kill by the inch or whatever. But you do want to potentially, or you're not you specifically, but the idea is to potentially manage for better whitetail deer in order to draw more people in to hunt whitetail.
Yes.
Okay, that ain't never going to work. I've been down this road in my own life of guiding and stuff like that, and at the end of the day, what you just said is that we don't pay you, quote unquote, to specifically manage a hunting operation at whatever. We can't enforce, at least we're still trying to wrap our minds around the idea of how to properly enforce dogs attacking people walking down the road. But we want to try to punish somebody for shooting the wrong deer. Like it's another regulatory layer for me that I just don't think we should cross. At the end of the day, from 2017 to 18, I'll read you all the numbers. Of deer harvested from 2017-18 to 2023, we're 125, 132, 134, 204, 151, and 61 respectively last year. Well, on this much land, that's about the right number, right? I mean, that's not crazy high, that's not crazy low, other than the 61's pretty low. We're never going, this is all low fence, we're never going to manage this property to have giant whitetail deer. It's never going to happen. This needs to be a place where families come and they enjoy being here. And if they want to play golf, they can. If they come, if we have, just hypothetically speaking, we had a summer hunt for axis, they can go swimming. They stay in the hotel, they spend a little bit of their money here and a little bit of their time, and they have a good family outing or whatever it is to them to come hunting. But this idea of putting all these regulations on them and saying, well, you can only shoot a three. I went to school for biology. It is technically impossible to manage to age a deer on the hoof. You can take pen raised deer that you know are 8 years old and their teeth would only show them to be 5 years old or 4 years old. So it's not possible to 100% manage the fort to be this, big game ranch. I think we need to keep it in that realm of being a good family place for people to come and having that freedom of, I like that deer, I want to shoot that deer, and I'm willing to pay for that deer. And then that takes the burden off of you, but it still allows us to be able to harvest animals. I think the number that's important is how many deer should we responsibly take off of a fort, and what's our carrying capacity? What's our K value? If we can get those numbers, then once again, you have all the ebb and the flow, right? You got the ebb and the flow from the 400 and the neighbors to the 400, and then you have all the ebb and flow from from town. So there's this, it's like this living organism of highways coming in and out of the fort. So, you could do a spotlight survey today, and it just rained, and all that forage and vegetation across this entire landscape for miles is now greening up really quickly. These deer scatter out. So if you come back and do that same survey, because the golf course is being watered every day, and you do that same survey in a month from now, you can get 3 times the number that you had next week. Yeah. So there's all sorts of flaws in how these things are done. And at the end of the day, we really need to keep this simple so that it's efficient with you and it's not a burden per se or stressful for the employees that are helping with this. And that we keep it family friendly and we just make what we can make on it. We're not a hunting compound. The idea is to get people here. Yeah, hopefully they kill a deer and they spend some money with us. But at the end of the day, that they enjoy their experience here. Hopefully they buy property. Maybe they buy FRM, but they tell their friends about it or whatever. That's the way I would mean. Is don't make this complicated. My last point would be is that you have 6 years of experience here running this program. Why change it? Why change it? You know exactly what the day in and the day out is. Don't mess with it. It's making money. I know we had discussed previously about potentially running some springtime turkey hunts because people are generally willing to pay about $1,500 for a turkey. There's a lot of turkey on the fort, and that may be an additional $30,000 or $40,000 a year in turkey hunting. Yeah. And these are some resources that we, if as a board and membership we decide we can do, then we do it. But there are some other avenues to make some more money. But I would be for just keeping this simple. You're very intelligent about it. You're very organized with it. Obviously, that's per this package you had already given me that I read through. Just keep it the way it is, make as much money as we can, and move on down the road.
Are y'all fine with the way the rates are right now, or where y'all?
I think that you researched the rates. I read through those. I think that what you have on there is, if everybody's not aware, the freeze-a-geddon or what everybody called it, when we got frozen out 2 years ago, that made all the axis deer in the hill country die. I mean, there were ranches that lost thousands of axis deer. That's why the trapping has gotten to be so crazy. Axis does used to be able to buy them for about $100. Now they're $400 or $500 at auction. So axis deer in general have quadrupled, if not tripled, tripled to quadrupled in price. Axis deer buck hunts used to be about $2,500. Now they're averaging about anywhere from 4 to 6. So they have really, really gone up a lot. And if we don't go up on our prices, then that's probably, obviously you're not wanting to be at market value and be somewhere underneath that. And I think that's great. So let's not kick anybody while they're down, but raise the prices the proper amount.
Matt, 2 things. My opinion is that we keep the rates of the members as best we can. They can take full advantage of it, number 1. Number 2, can you take me down memory lane? Just give me a short version of why we were trapping if we were losing money last year. If we were losing money, why did we even do it? Well, we're not.
So
Last year.
this is your issue. So the axis deer, as your numbers dwindle down, they're going to stay to where they are more comfortable at and where their food is at and stuff like that. Here, it's all residential. That's where they're going to stay around. So when 98% of all your hunters are back in the back, the deer aren't going back there. They're going to stay up here in the front, and that's what they do. So your rate at 18% success rate for hunting was basically rifle hunting back there in the back. Basically, the deer don't want to go back there.
Okay.
That's the reason for that, so.
They like the golf course.
They like the grass, they like to stay around the county, that's what they do. So, you know, and that's the gist of it.
But part of your changes, you want to do more bow hunting,
Yes.
because we can get it closer in to the residential without
Yeah,
bothering the residential.
Raise your success rate up by bow hunting instead of rifle. Try to get them out of get them closer to areas where they. We try and get us, basically always trying to get everything easy access for us to get in and out, everything else, do is when we put up signs, people either move, take them down or go around or whatever. It's just hard to deal with stuff up here because people go anywhere and everywhere. So it's easy for somebody to get into an area where they're not supposed to be and stuff like that. It happens all the time. So we try to teach our hunters here, be mindful of what's going on. Plus you got everything that's going on with the border now. You got legal stuff and doing all this other stuff, but we work through all that stuff. Hunters are, we educate them on what we're supposed to do, keep up with safety, everything. So, yes, what I would like to, as far as the areas where we hunted last year, I'd like just to leave it the same and try to work with that. Giving the membership more access to what the trails and stuff they need to go down, so not gonna bother them too much. I'd like to have it. I'll get y'all a map and where all the blind locations at, but I won't be hunting as many gun hunters and so. Because of the low success rate over there. Try to bring up the both.
So I'm just running some rough numbers here, but there's been 341 deer trapped at the port. If you take a mortality rate of 25%, you say that that's 255 of those, by looking at these numbers roughly, 75% of those are does and fawns. And then if you take a mortality rate of 25%, you're left with about, in 2 years, you're left with 383 deer. And we're only harvesting about 130 on the average right now, 140-ish on the average a year. And then, so my point would be that when you correlate these numbers with the total number of deer hunted in 6 years is 586, the total number of deer trapped is 341, but those are exclusively axis deer. That had we not trapped any of those deer, just in 2 years, we'd have 383 additional deer at minimum. So we can make much more money leaving it the way it is and try to get our deer herd back at a huntable, sustainable amount, which obviously last year we only shot 61. So that's, less than 50% of the average.
Yeah.
So it's important that, we do have some management, but at the end of the day, let's not get too carried away with it. Too many deer here, there's not high fences. The deer will leave when there's not enough food. I spoke with Mr. Conley like a few months back, and he had said that there was a lot of axis deer all over their place, in the last few years, and they're all gone. Well, that's because of the 341 deer that have been trapped on the fort. And then all the deer sucked back in here because obviously these deer get trapped out, more and more come in or whatever. So, we do need to manage it. I think you're right on par. I think everything you have here is great, personally. So.
I'm gonna go back to the rate again, because somehow I didn't get that back. I've got the old prices.
Yeah, this one.
Well, I mean, for the,
This right here.
for the non-members.
Yeah, right here, that's your member rate, the one in yellow.
Right.
So what changed from last year basically was the what you're allotted to get. So if a member pays now on his daily rate, he's allowed that one deer to hunt all season. He can hunt all season long until he gets that one deer. Once he gets that one deer, the additional cost. So he doesn't get two for that price. He only gets one. Then his additional cost.
And but we were talking about does.
Yeah,
Yes.
not,
Yeah. And
Not
how
much.
many, just because I know these numbers are really low, I can't remember the exact numbers, but
Well-
how many people actually shot 2 dose, members?
when I looked at the numbers,
You don't even know.
I only saw,
They made it the most 2. So,
yeah, I only saw 4 payments from members to Hunt this last.
Yeah.
Last time.
can change that back to what it was. It's no problem.
I mean, I would prefer 2, I mean, because such a low number of residential members.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're hunting for meat, and,
That's fine.
so a non-member, what
Explain
is
that.
it?
What are you saying to change it to?
Well, it was 2 last year, for $150, you had the entire year to
To kill it?
2 does.
Oh,
Not one.
Not 1, but 2 for $150. And then after that, it's $100, right?
Yeah.
For any additional. So what is the new non-member rate?
That's everything it's in your, 23, 24.
guideline.
That's everything.
Oh, the 220?
Yeah.
Well, 220 is what we had, so we didn't go up.
So now I changed, the other thing that we did on the other one, on the prices. Yeah, you're right. Prices went up, plus we're planning on doing turkey hunting this year, so I'm not hunting them or allowing them to be free anymore. Yes, then you got.
Yeah, and I'm sure the two prices, so that's why I'm confused.
You're 60.
Is it like that one?
You have 2 different sets there, you get 22, 23, and there's the 22, 24, towards your top one.
Oh, I got 2 22, 23s, that's why I didn't.
Oh, man, I was like, what is going on? Here you go.
Okay, I'm not crazy then. Thank you, I'm sorry, I'm looking at it going, I don't see it.
Yeah, so now you've got these prices included, now the price is set on these.
Okay. And then
But it's a
the
whole
minute
nother
here,
discussion
okay.
to have the potential to go into next spring or something like that. To have turkey
Kind of
hunts and then we want to do that.
You can actually do that this year. You've got the opportunity to do it. We've done it before. Never had that many out. There wasn't that many.
In the springtime you would, you won't have it in there.
No, not in the winter, just in spring. So it's gonna take spring.
Well, I have some questions about the fees. And basically, we're saying we're gonna stick.
You stick with the base, everything's gonna be the same, just that you're changing the fee.
But it's only changing the fees to the non-members.
Yeah, so you're running everything the same. You know, the same program, the same as it's always been run. Except, figure out, what we're doing at.
So,
And let me just tell you this, on MLBs, on your MLBs, I've never ran out of MLB tag. Never.
I don't what?
Nothing MLB, so when you do the spotlight survey and you're looking at whitetail, they usually do MLB tag
Oh, okay.
based upon bone growth ratio and all this other stuff that goes on. And we've never ran out of.
I mean, I just don't see a problem with a $3,500 bill for 29, 34 inch axes. It's just not, it's.
Well, I mean, and if you're here to that, that's
Yeah.
a big deal.
Yeah.
So you're getting a big advantage of being a member.
so do we need to go ahead and vote on the rate?
We cannot hear anything that he's saying.
Oh.
You're just talking about numbers.
Boring stuff.
Boring stuff.
Basically, we're just talking about the pricing has changed, not for the membership, but the change has been for the non-members that are coming onto the fort to hunt. We're trying to get that, where it's, you say,
Make more money.
well, it's
More comparable.
It's more comparable to your rates anywhere else. It's still lower, but it's still advantage to them to come here and hunt, but it's still a higher rate than what it was last year.
So it's going up 1,000, just so everybody knows. In axis deer, you're talking inches, or you're talking bronze, silver, or gold class deer. Axis deer on The current is 28 inches and larger is $2,500. That's going to $3,500, and 28 and under is at 15. That's going to $2,500. Those are nominal changes. You can't hunt them for that anywhere else for that amount.
So, and that's the pricing of it. So. Gonna change is where we've been hunting at, so everything's gonna stay the same. We won't be hunting behind 1 and 3. I'm back over there, I'm trying to stay out of the area behind the RV park, going all the way down to the Red Bridge. So, hopefully everything will stay the same.
Yeah,
So
so
how
all
many
those
acres
trails.
are we actually hunting?
Put it down, if you include the bow hunting, you're probably on about, because we're confined into an area now. Bow hunters are really good, it's what I'm gonna focus on and try to get good, that's where the advantage is gonna be.
Matt, a couple of years ago, just so that we can get it out now in the open, there was an issue of the bow hunting being too close to unit 1. It was about 2 years ago, there was a deer running through unit 1 with a arrow in its body or shoulder, whatever. So that ain't gonna happen again?
Well, it may.
Let me clarify something. This year, we've had 3 deer poach big bucks. So one got shot with a handgun over there on Pecan Road.
Nice.
One of them got shot right next to the RV park. And one of them got shot with a bow back over here behind, in unit 31, 32 and found it along the golf course. So when people see deer that have arrows in them, that's not from a professional hunter of any type. That's usually either from a kid with a lesser pound bow or somebody who's not up on it and they're just shooting out of their house or something like that. So 9 chances out of 10, if you see a deer running around with an arrow shot in it, it was from somebody that either trying to poach
Or being stupid.
or yeah, just something, but that didn't come from a
Terrible
hunter.
hunter.
So just to let you know.
Okay.
But being there's deer up here, things are gonna happen. So, I encourage everybody, if you see something, then call. It's too many times, oh, I just thought that was one of your hunters and it happened 3 days ago. If you see something, call. Hey, I don't think this is right, I'm gonna call. That way, we can check it out and find out exactly what's going on. But yeah,
And we lost 1 deer in the pool, right, this summer?
yeah, dogs chased it.
Oh,
The drowned.
Yeah, big bug. Somebody have a question?
you could go past the old cemetery, go over and then come up by the laundry.
We're not hunting back there. This
Yeah, MLU.
managed land deer program.
Is that fine with the state? or
Yes, ma'am, that's from the state. The state is the one
Do
who
they
issues
have to
that.
approve it?
They have to issue.
But they have to issue it.
Thanks.
We've been on it for maybe 10, 15 years. We've been on that program. So
How many permits do you usually get, or is it about the same each year?
So,
For whitetail.
The MLB.
Oh.
it depends. So it depends on actually, I'll say there's quite a few, but it depends. I'm not gonna go into the big discussion on what different people have done in the past with what they weren't supposed to do, what you didn't do, and all that sort of stuff, but we get quite a few, and I've never used all of them.
Yeah, I realize you've never used all of them. But how many do you generally get?
I would say, for does, it's usually, on an average, on whitetail is 50. And then you're probably about $25. It's somewhere in that area. If I ever run low, I call them and they issue some more. So, It's always been that way because you've always, here you went, and John knows, you went from overrun with whitetail when you didn't have no access. Where you had inbred deer and stuff like that, so they needed to basically bring in hunters to try to manage the herd, which is, they shot them out. So then when it came back, that was when the Ford made a lease program with this other outfit, and that went south. But anyway, he's the one that started the MLD program. That was 15 years ago or something. It's been a while.
Does that answer your question?
We've been on the program for, before I started. So I've actually run the program for at least 10 years. Every time, and this is another thing, MLD, their big deal is chronic waste disease. The state is right now, so they have a checkpoint. Anytime any of my deer gets sick, it doesn't make a difference whether it's an axis or a whitetail, it gets tested. And we have never had a case of either CWD or anthrax at all. So I keep these deer, if we find one that's down or whatever, then we get it checked, no matter what. No cases, or ever been a case of CWD or anthrax on the foot.
What are the symptoms of what if you do?
CWD is, well, ill now. Yeah. And whitetail are susceptible to a lot of different diseases, so it's really hard to deal with them. They're susceptible to the point where you'll see deer that are malnourished and stuff like that. That's also that symptom, but there's more cases of 100% of all the deer here that we find that are malnourished or there's something wrong with them, there's no CWD in it. It's just from something natural or whatever happened to them. That's it. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Kinney County, yes. There's always cases of anthrax in the county, no CWD.
All right, well, we probably need to wrap this up. Oh,
Can I, just one question.
Okay.
The rate for member, clarify for me, member is me. Can my son come and harvest the deer for me?
That's
Put in my fridge.
that's a guess rate. I don't know what y'all want to do about that. That's, yeah, I don't have nothing in.
that's probably a whole other conversation.
Barbara, you gotta go out with it.
Huh?
You probably have to go out with it.
Well, that was the other question, because I like to hunt, but I'm not sure at this point about the actual hunting. I would love to go with, but I was told that I had to have it back in my hand and I had to do it. And I want to know if that's true.
Well, that'd be kind of hard for us. I don't even shoot it if I wanted to.
But we would enjoy, I'm actually losing my neighbor who supplied me with axes. He's gone. And he got it other places in the time still, but, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, I think it's probably a conversation we'll have to have and look into that, or maybe, find out if we have somebody on the, a member that would, volunteer as long as you were paying, or, something like
We
that.
weren't doing that, weren't we, Ben? We were killing deer and selling the meat out to members?
Any of the members that aren't able to hunt and you want a deer, can fee and I'll get you a deer.
There you go.
We paid $150.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was over the course of a year.
Reasonable amount of time.
No, I mean, but you're over the course.
Yeah, within the season. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And that does not include processing, correct?
No, ma'am.
Oh,
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Well, you can process it yourself.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And, feel free to come out with any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess what we do is vote on whether we're with the new pricing. Everything else is still the same. So do I have a motion?
I move we accept the 23-24 guidelines of
Pricing,
pricing as Matt has proposed.
With the adjustment, yeah, for the 2 year, yeah.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
All right, all in favor? All right, motion passes.
makes it fun.
All right, community council memorandum of understanding. For Fort Clark Days. I think it was just, a template that was used. Is that correct?
Yes.
Just a template, okay. So you're okay with something a little less complicated?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, you're looking, I mean, my personal opinion is that there should be a better partnership between the Fort and Fort Clark Days every year. It benefits the members, it benefits the association.
Definitely.
You know, there shouldn't be a squabble every single year.
We would like to have the whole association involved with Fort Clark Days.
So what you're looking at, what you're wanting is an assurance that there's not a squabble every fall or whatever with facilities usage and that type of thing.
What brought it up was just before Clark this last year. I was new president to the community council, and I was told that I had not brought the request before the board. And I didn't know that we had to bring the request before the board. We were just not aware that that requirement.
Right.
Now, we had made Fort Clark based reports over through
Right.
February,
I remember.
and no one had said to us, where is your request to use the facilities? But we weren't asked that question until 9 days prior to Fort Clark Days. So it was something we weren't aware that we even needed to do. So we don't even know if we have to.
Well, normally it was done in the past, but as we know, as committees change or, you know, and that stuff gets lost. And having been president of community council, I also know there is struggles every year regardless of it, to make these available. I think something simpler.
That would be wonderful.
I'm sorry we haven't had a chance to rework it or anything. But we wanted to have it on here so you know we're because I do believe it should be a partnership. I mean, that's my opinion. I'm not sure about the rest of the board.
I agree.
I don't
It was mishandled for sure.
I don't know why it's not understood that it has to be partners. Or that it wasn't previously understood that, I mean, that, the property belongs to the Fort, to all of us. And I may be opening a door that I shouldn't today, but what occurred to me was that community council, like any other committee, although community council is different, they come to the board for approval of any project. And that's the way it has to be. The board is the governing body. And I think we can make things real clear about what we all think should happen on Fort Clark Days. And the point that I guess I'm trying to make is communication is the key. Let's make sure this dialogue is open so that we don't have any misunderstandings. And that this is what community council recommends that Fort Clark Days be and how it is run and where it is run. And the board can say, yay, we agree with you, or no, we don't want to do quite that. We'd like to change it, and we can have a discussion about it. But not on the last 2 weeks.
What I was what I guess part of my thinking was Fort Clark, all of us, this whole thing is the major sponsor. And it's on the back of the shirts.
Yeah,
So I thought, and I probably shouldn't have assumed anything. I thought that by being our primary sponsor, maybe that was part of, okay, that's an understanding that their contribution is facilities.
That is how your
Yeah.
sponsorship is.
You
It's
know,
like
so
that.
I didn't understand needing this other, I didn't understand having to ask for. Or.
And I think it should be noted that this isn't the first time this has been requested of the board. It's not just in reaction to this past year. Community council has put a request in multiple times for the memorandum.
Yes.
Makes sense.
At the end of the document, it says in your section G of understanding, it says any partner may terminate this participation in memorandum by providing written notice to the other partner. Right, like what's it say at the end of it? Like we're all gone in 3 years from now, and year number 4, we don't like this, and we just throw it back out. You know what I mean? Or next year, the year, whatever. Right? I'm just hypothetically speaking, but only way to fix it with a contract. That makes sense. I think the fact that this contract's sitting right here speaks to a much bigger problem. Is what I'm getting at.
and we're
It's
one,
like
and we're one.
this isn't going to fix anything, but it's not. But yet something has to be done. You know what I mean? It's no.
In the past, board, not this board, but the board of days was established, everybody had a committee, blah, blah, blah. Whoever was running it, I believe, put in a request for, that's what, in my days, in your days, they put in a request for the use of the fort, for the use of this and that and this, and then ask for whatever the fort wanted to add, which they always did, you know, rooms, whatever. And so maybe, is that what we're talking about? That hasn't been done?
Yes.
So maybe
In the lab to the next people that are running it, they don't know.
7 years since I've been here, I've watched a fight go every single year for, well, we're not gonna give you that much, that's too much, that's, you know, some of the boards or some of the gyms would be like, well, that venue is worth this amount of money, so
Yeah.
we're losing this amount of money if we just let you use it for free. There was a lot of that kind of thing that kept going back and forth, when, to me, there's the intangible marketing and everything else, I mean, so that's where part of the problem is coming.
But that created the us and them,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
which didn't exist at all.
no.
so. Can we create? I'm just thinking out loud, Tony. Take this information in because I know you'll understand this in a better way than I can say it. But can we create a contract or a memorandum of understanding that just simply says it solves what you're talking about? Is that maybe the memorandum states that we will have an understanding to meet on said date every year, and we will have the board and community council or Fort Clark Days will meet on said date every year, same time, so that that local knowledge is continuously passed down to hash out the details of Fort Clark Days for said year. You know, something along those, to include, you know, the use of the historical buildings, the museum, commissary, Seminole Hall, chapter, butcher, adult center, all that stuff. Maybe that would be simpler. I'm just trying to think.
Do it early.
Yeah.
November.
Right,
Like,
but it's a set deal. We know,
September. Yes.
and maybe that can be paired with a board meeting. That, you know, this is over, this meeting is over, we go into executive session.
We've
Those
already
bodies
decided
meet.
that. Too late. Oh, really? That's why we're having. But that would be the Fort Clark Days first meeting. We wouldn't have to have it passed in, we wouldn't have to have any kind of agreement with that.
You could do it in August.
Starting. And I would say.
It would probably make sense to have the first Fort Clark Day meeting in case any new ideas come up.
Right.
Then after that, we would have all those ideas in
October.
case somebody decided, hey, we want to use the boardroom for just anything extra.
I mean, we never.
So then to come to the agreement right after that, I think that sounds perfect.
Yeah.
I love this.
This could be a one pager instead
Yeah.
of, you know, this.
Just, but steady every year, let's get it done, no questions, no
And if
confusion
it's
with the new
terrible board
board,
meeting
no
or-
confusion with the new committee.
Part of the solution, we've already addressed the problem, is that Francis and Christina have started a book
That would be passed down.
chairs. I have one there and I'm over with. And they keep that book.
Can't guarantee that. But in there, it would say, on a certain date, we meet. with the
Yeah,
board.
it should almost be
That's where
like
it
the
is.
first page. Was this ever about, when you were helping with all this, was this ever about money?
Like when I did it in 8 and 9 or
Yes,
something,
ma'am.
I forget what it is now.
Right.
Yeah, you asked, I think we asked for some financial
No,
support.
no, no. I mean, was this ever about money at this level? Was Fort Clark Days ever about money to
We're looking for
Fort
more
Clark?
help for.
That's not what I mean. Maybe, you have something to say, Bill?
No,
Instead of make money for community council, the honor their 501(c), and put money in preservation.
So that's kind of where I'm going, is that it was my interpretation, kind of what Lisa just said, that this kind of turned into, well, we're losing money by allowing you to use this stuff.
I never heard that in my life.
That's what I'm getting at. It's like,
It happened after Lawrence.
why we went down this odd road. I don't understand that yet, but.
Guy didn't have to kneel down and do it, but memo just said it was asked after one general manager. But I know there was a time about 4 years ago, and it was like, well, it's gonna be charged for using this building. We're gonna be charged for using that.
Well,
building.
we're all gonna
And
benefit.
we already own the thing.
We're all gonna benefit from Fort Clark Days existing as a whole. And this community needs to embrace the fact that Fort Clark Days is not about money. It's about history, and it's about,
Marketing.
Yeah.
marketing, volunteering.
Yeah.
It's not about Fort Clark squeezing a penny out of it. Yes, as a whole, that's going to happen, but that's something that's gonna happen no matter what we do. People are gonna stay in the hotel. People are gonna spend money. We, at a board level, don't need to be trying to squeeze pennies away from committees.
The biggest issue was how many rooms in the past that I recall was how many rooms can we have in the motel? Because they wanted to put some people up in the living historians in the motel. And then, so how many rooms, because we will get full, the motel completely sells out, so whatever we give in rooms, we lose in income. So that was the sort of the rub, and then there was some, I can't do this anymore, there was some suggestions. Yes, it was trying to put some of them in the hospital, we can't do that now.
Yeah, yeah.
This
Well,
past year,
unfortunately, you gotta clean up the.
this past year, and everybody should remember, it was just an issue of wills. Whose will was gonna win over that situation? That's what it was. And unfortunately, it won on the right side.
Which I think also in terms of the money that community council came up with a percentage that was going to stay in community council's money for next year.
Right.
And it was going to give a percentage for preservation.
It was a dollar amount.
But yeah, right.
Yeah.
And also, then they would have to rest of it to honor their 501(c) education. What do you call it?
Okay, but that finish ran out after 5 years.
So I understand, but I mean, that's not the way it was set up.
It's Fort Clark 2023, and Francis is the one who really asked, but my notes say that it was cleared plus or minus $7,000. We did, 2,000. Yes. Preservation, and we kept in reserve, 2,000 for 2,000. Is up for 2,000 for the adult center. You now changed the concept. Right. And then we have 4,000. For startup. Yes.
Well, I think we're on the right path. And if we can come up with a one sheet and agree to meet to help pass down this knowledge.
And again, the point is good, though, babysit.
Saying all day long.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we can't forget the spirit of why Fort Clark Days exist. And that's the important.
That the number reason of having 4 Clark Days is promote the Fort.
Yeah.
It's probably the single biggest promotional thing that we do around here, period.
Correct.
To promote the Fort.
Yep.
It's the biggest.
I have
The most important.
I have a suggestion, go to the medical center, I don't know, in San Antonio, and literally walk around the doctor's offices, the hospital, blah, 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 and put all this up, get permission to put these posters up, and we would be inundated. Because they don't know about it.
I think if everybody knew about Fort Clark,
They don't know about it. I had a.
y'all all be wanting to move out of the
We know. So it's, it's how much effort do people want?
Let's try to shoot for October to settle this, by have it all settled by October.
yeah.
Right, we don't need to vote on that. Consider approval of the standard development invoice, which is, a very large bill that was brought up at the town hall a little bit. Do you wanna kind of give us a synopsis, John, of
I guess the synopsis would be that, Mr. Ward, Blake Ward, was asked by, the previous president and the general manager to do work prior to, obviously, anybody's approval, which is why we just received this on 8/04. So 22 days ago. And, $17,692. And I'm of the mind that this is a detailed receipt, so we'll read it. For the land clearing, which is $6,955. D6 bulldozer clearing area for new landfill sale at Fort Clark landfill. Mini excavator used to dig test holes for soil analysis for geological survey, mobilization, demobilization of all equipment. All of that standard, 100%. Survey and consultation, $10,737. Full GPS survey performed to integrate the existing landfill specs, elevation grades, and etc. Consultation with engineer hired by Standard Development to meet TCEQ regulations. Survey markers placed in elevation set to perform scope of work agreed upon. Time and materials. Our engineer was hired and located by us in order to save Fort Clark Springs a large expense of hiring other firms. All approved by director. This is all inclusive in our original bid proposal to construct an entire new cell. So, unfortunately, I'm sure that everybody in this room agrees that you don't like being stiffed by somebody you did work for. And regardless of whether this is right or wrong, is we're beyond that point. Mr. Ward came and did this work. He incurred costs by mobilization, demobilization of the equipment, hiring a survey company, engineers, and doing full GPS survey. I'm of the mind that we make the man whole. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And hopefully we benefit from the work that was done in the future. I know that he scraped off the ground, removed vegetation, did this testing, and of course I'm sure that he'll be amenable to providing whatever soil analysis, whether it's relevant or not, in whether will still be relevant when we get to the point of building a new cell. But I think this just, unfortunately, is just an example of what you just don't do. And,
Exactly. So they were basically promised the job to do the cell without approval from the board, without extra bids. And those of us on the board at the time were unaware that we didn't find this out until now.
May I ask, how much have we paid in the past?
40,000 a cell, complete. 4 cell minimum. Used to be 168,000 every time we went out there and they had to.
Hold on a second. I was gonna add to this. Do we know who verified any of this work? Because I hadn't.
No, other than Mr. Peterson saying when we were in the meeting, said that they had removed all the vegetation and that they hadn't dug the test holes.
Has Phil has he verified to us any of his work?
No, and I'm not saying that we approve this either. I'm not saying that we do. My stipulation, or I guess my recommendation would be that once this has been proven, because we are in a quagmire situation, once maybe Mr. Ward would give us some receipts from the engineering firm and kind of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Then we can talk about making it whole.
I'm sorry. Just going back down a few months, on the day that Mr. Peterson resigned, the plan was to leave the boardroom and go take a tour of all the work that was gonna be done, because we had just learned about this in April. So I would have verified it, I would have seen it for myself that day. Now, I haven't made the effort to go back and have anyone take me out there, but we still could go if we wanted to. Just so that membership understands that based on this conversation, no one has actually verified it.
I have a concern because the last town meeting before Mr. Peterson resigned, unless I'm totally losing my mind, he stated that we were in no way in dire need of another cell. So I think if you go back and roll that tape, when he specifically said it was not necessary at this time, recycling was doing great, blah, blah, blah. So then he turns around and signs him to do stuff that wasn't needed. So maybe there's a loophole where you could reel back to that town hall meeting and see if that in fact, or maybe I lost my mind, but I remember things like that.
It was evolved.
And it should be good for something. The work's been done.
We don't, no one here has verified.
I know.
We haven't verified it in like test holes. I mean, yeah, you might see some remnants of a test hole that was there.
But why say one thing and do something else? It's my concern.
You're absolutely right.
That's a good question.
So I don't disagree with anything that John said, except that he said we're in a quagmire. We're not the ones in the quagmire. The one in the quagmire is Mr. Blake Ward, who sent this invoice and said it needs to be paid.
No contract.
There's no contract to support what obligation he had to do the work. So we don't even know what he was supposed to do, but now we have an invoice where he says what he did, and he wants $17,692.
Wouldn't it be time to get your attorney involved?
We have our attorney involved.
No, I'm not your attorney. I am a.
Our attorney that you pay for advice in this instance.
Well,
He needs to do it.
I don't think, it may not actually be a legal issue. Because if this board was inclined to do it, we could ratify the contract to do the work, but only after, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to speak for the other board members, but only after I'm satisfied that what he was asked to do, he in fact did, and it's represented in this invoice.
Yes.
And that's kind of what you were referring to, John, and Memo. You know, we were, I say we, I wasn't on the board then, but the board had not been apprised of what was supposed to be done in anticipation of preparing for another sale. I don't understand all of it, but I'm getting there. And so while ultimately we may have to decide to pay this, I'm not satisfied that we have enough information right now to go forward and pay it at this point.
Absolutely.
I'd like to say something because I was sort of in it at the last minute. I didn't know much, as you've heard a lot of people say. But the one comment that I heard was that Blake had done more work than was asked to be done. Now, I don't know what was
asked to be done, so
We don't know we're sort of, we're sitting here and going, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he did more than what they requested. That would not, and I didn't know, I mean, there was 2 or 3 of us who didn't know what was going on a lot of time. And I have no idea, and does he describe what was asked?
Well, what I read,
Yeah.
I mean, not what was
Not what was
asked,
asked,
just
but
what was
what he
performed.
did.
What he did.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the only comment that I heard was he did way more than we expected, so that's why they were balking. I guess it's a good way of putting it.
Well,
It would be interesting to me to know who said that.
Well, it was actually, what actually was described to me, which is supported by this, is that it's hard to talk about stuff because I, you know what, I don't really have any bad blood with Mr. Huey, and we all make mistakes, or Mr. Peterson. I don't want us to sound like that. I don't think any of us feel that way, so I don't want y'all to hear that either. It'd be really easy to hear that right now. And I don't know why these decisions were made, but when this came to my attention, Mr. Ward had been asked to give a price for building 3 cells, and that price was $235,000. He was asked to start that. And out of this being a small town, and this is the world I live in, it's the exact opposite of Tony's world. I don't, in my land clearing business, I don't have contracts. I shake people's hands, I do a job, and they pay me when I'm done. That's the world I created for myself, and it's the world that I want to live in. So I understand that world. I understand how this could get to this point where Blake is standing in front of the president of the board and the general manager, and they say, yeah, we like your price. Go ahead and start, and we'll figure out how to get it in the budget and figure out how to get it approved, which is what was said to him, this is firsthand knowledge from him to me. And so he started the work.
So he was quoted, that he quoted a price and he accepted it.
Verbally, yes.
So the price that you have now is what was discussed, it's not like something out of the blue.
Well, it was the work
For
performed.
the whole thing.
It was $235,000,
But he did a little bit of it to,
and then they came back and told him to stop.
okay.
Because we need more than,
Yeah, they came back and told Mr. Ward to stop and said that we were gonna have to figure out how to pay for this and figure out how to get it in the budget. And so he's billing us for the work that he performed.
But wasn't this immediately, they did this because it was immediately needed because of the incline or something like that?
no, that's a
No,
different
this
thing.
was only pertaining to building new cells. It
Okay.
wasn't anything in the old dump. So that's where this is all coming from. And while I know contracts have their place, I know how Blake got to this point. He grew up here. His family's 3 or 4 generations here. I mean, there were 2 sitting there telling him, hey, we're good with this. Get started. We need it done immediately. And he started. And that's the world I live in.
Is the work
So-
that he's done something that we can build on to do what we need to do without having to do it again?
I think that's exactly what
We
needs
don't
to be
know.
That's what
verified.
we need to find out.
That's what needs to be verified, yes. And I think if we can verify that, and I think honestly, Blake would probably mitigate some of this, but it's important us to know what it would have
Right.
cost, right?
So everybody's happy.
And so I think Blake's gonna be fair and mitigate it. But if he can prove what he did, and then we can see what is done, which we have verification from Mr. Peterson that he did scrape off all the vegetation, which is required. you know, that we come to some kind of agreement at the end of this. I don't know what that looks like or whatever, but, you know,
Well, I'm just kind of curious, back in the day with the other board, or part of the member, did every board member and the general manager, was everybody on board with it, or did just?
No, it was done without, it was done without the knowledge.
The information came out in April, just by chance. He spilled, Mr. Peterson, for lack of better expression, he spilled the beans in the April executive, in an April meeting.
Well, I think we have the overall gist of it, and, do we have a motion to table until we get further information?
I make a motion to table it to get verification on the records completed.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
And she said no.
Nope. Discussion on researching filtration system for the pool. You know, we've had trouble for the last 2 years, with a dry spring, which impacts the membership, it impacts the association. It's farther reaching than just, darn, we can't swim this summer. And whether we can do something or not, I think it behooves us to at least research if there's a way that we can get a filtration system, not to create a regular swimming pool, but to be able to either purchase water from mud and make it last, so that we can have the pool not only for the membership, but for the fort, for the outside, you know, all of what our revenue generation, because the pool and the golf course are the two biggest draws. Whether we swim in it or not, they're the two biggest draws for us to come here. And John, you wanted to discuss it.
I wanted this on the agenda because I think that we need to, exactly what Lisa just said. I'm for getting an engineering firm here to, and I think Mr. Hill may know somebody. There's some members that would be willing to help with that. But get an engineering firm here to give us an assessment of the pool and say, this is what it would take to filter this water. And in times like this year and last year, and while I was growing up, there's times where you don't have the spring, but some type of mobile unit that we can store in a sea container or the motor pool, and it can be brought to the pool when necessary, so that it's not some permanent fixture of our historical pool, right? But we got to think about, this unit hypothetically costs $100,000. It's like, well, that sounds like a lot of money, but how many people don't buy FRMs, don't buy memberships at all, don't buy property here, don't stay at the hotel, all because the pool doesn't have water during the summertime. And so I think if we look at it as a whole, we need to solve the pool's problems. And, you know, I know God has a sense of humor. So at the end of the day, we may get it and never have to use it. But right now, you know, I will just add that up to buying rain. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I mean, we have to ensure that we have a pool for everybody to swim in. It's one of the most important aspects of the port. Between the pool, the golf course, and all the historical features here, we can't lose one of those. We can't lose any one of them. So,
John, why would we need an engineering firm? Wouldn't we get like a professional pool company?
I tried. Nobody was interested in even looking at it. I called 30 companies and nobody wanted to mess with it. Matter of fact, I had multiple people promise to show up and never call me back.
They don't want the money?
They don't want the drive.
I think I think the over.
Even the real people, there's the real pool company.
They won't do it. The overwhelming question that I got asked was, the common denominator was, are you going to allow us to build it into the pool? Like, you know, put jets and suction and input and everything into the concrete of the pool. And I was like, no, I can guarantee you that will never happen. It needs to be a mobile system that can sit, on a, like, say, between the spring and the part that got taken out in that grass. Maybe it's I don't know, whatever, right? But something that sits there, we use it when we need it. Oh, no, we don't do that. Oh, we don't know anything about that. We don't do that.
Like a city water system,
Yeah, I mean, you can compare it to that. Yeah, it would be a big pump system, probably a 4-inch line that sucks water out and puts it back in, and has a hose that goes from one side of the pool to the other. So you have a suction line and an input line that runs through a filtration system, but it's mobile. You can roll it up, you can store it, you can put it down there. It has its own meter.
Something like that exists, or something that's invented.
I can guarantee you that somebody can build it, but an engineering firm, you call an engineering firm to come do it, they'll be like, hell yeah, we'll do this. But you call these pool people and they're just like,
Well, I wondered if you imagine that something like this either exists or that it would have to be invented. I agree with the concept that we ought to be able to do that so that we can be assured that we're gonna have a pool split.
yeah.
But we can take the salt out of the water, I'm sure that they can do that.
Well, it exists. It's just, all you're doing is you're taking a pump and filtration system large enough for 1 million gallons in 24 hours, one total circulation in that amount of time. And instead of it all being underneath the pool, it's on top of the pool. It's sitting next to the pool.
Well, but would this just be for, in the event that we have no spring water?
Yes.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
buy a pool full of water from mud, then we can use that for a long time.
Right.
Instead of having to.
Right.
So then we'd be able to put that water in, then you're gonna have your evaporation loss every day, right? Which is X amount of gallons. But even if you did have evaporation loss, I mean, you could still run it for a very long time and then put more water back in it. But you'd be filling it up one time and circulating that water until the spring started to flow again. Simple as that. If it stayed in there for 3 months, then
Yeah.
that's how long it stayed in there.
Right.
But it's really a plan B that will be covered in maintenance until we need it.
Right.
And then, like you said, God
You
may,
carry it down there with a
God may-
backhoe, you set it down.
God may trick us and we may never use it. $100,000 will be sitting at maintenance.
I mean, I don't even know and I don't know how much it would cost. I'm
Just
just,
throwing that out there.
hypothetically speaking. I don't know.
I think it's worth it to at least explore it,
Definitely.
so that we know whether it's not feasible, too expensive,
Yeah.
or doable. Until we look at
So-
it, we won't know.
So we need to spend 100,000.
But no.
No.
Just, no, we're
It's
just,
thrown out a number.
My point, my only point in asking that question is if you were willing to spend a substantial amount of money, what about putting a pool, a regular pool, over by the gym, the little gym there?
you know how much 100,000 will get you in the pool? They won't even get you a pool of half the size of this room. Yeah. I just had a friend install one that was a third the size of this room and it was $115,000.
Time to change.
It's crazy.
We can get it for 200,000.
Yeah.
Let's make a lane pool.
Okay, so to get off a high center, yeah, we want to look into it, we want to research it. How would you suggest we go about that?
I can just make a few phone calls and find an engineering firm and tell them what we're doing and say, would you be interested in coming to the fort and just giving us an analysis? And they'll say, yeah, we're interested in that. Well, how much will that cost? And then if they say $3,500 for us to come look at it, and I don't know it'd be that much, but $3,500 to come look at it. And then from there, if we build you a set of plans on what we think would work, our general fee is this much money. And then, I don't know, let's just say at the end of the day, it's $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. We've got a set of plans that we can submit. Either the engineering firm is capable of building it, or we have a set of plans to submit to a company that can build it for us and bring it to us, and that price is obviously X amount.
Engineers will be hydraulics.
Sure.
That would be the first place to look, yeah.
Well, Linda had a good idea.
No.
Yeah, man, you did. They're just throwing this out. If we were thinking about, and I know 100,000 is an exaggerated amount we're using right now, but if we were to have a strong vision and potentially have $200,000 sitting in the kitty to build an Olympic-sized pool,
It,
May not
it's,
be worth it.
yeah, but it still wouldn't do it. It's not enough money.
Well, we don't know that because we don't know the price.
So I can make a phone call right now and I can tell you right now how much Olympics, I guarantee you Olympic sized pool's like half a million.
Or one the size of the county. I don't know how big the county is. I'm just,
Well, yeah, but the water.
100,000 for a contraption, 150,000 for a pool the size of the county.
But the draw
Yeah, the draw.
to the community is the spring.
Well, what would happen if the pool down here was full for 2 years and then this over here, well, say, this hypothetical pool is also full?
Water aerobics at that point.
Extra maintenance, extra
Yeah.
repair, extra.
Yeah.
Okay, just wondering, thinking out loud.
It's a hot dog.
Yeah, let's explore.
I mean, we can't,
It doesn't hurt to ask.
yeah, we
Yeah.
can't even,
Yeah.
right now, it's like, well, the pool's out of water and everybody, we're throwing our hands up and just walking away, but we owe the community more than that.
Let's explore.
You know, I asked Lisa the other day, this sort of has something to do with the pool. But do any of you in the room who've been around here much longer than me have any recollection of work being done in the area where the spring comes up?
Last year,
What work was that?
all the walls surrounding the spring were all patched up. They've been leaking out for a long time, and we spent almost $10,000 last year patching up all the walls.
What kind of patching?
It was patching the last for the
Then we,
Concrete?
and we had those days of rock eye, lots of stuff.
Okay, well, I'm talking about really the
It
bottom.
was
of
cleaned out. It was cleaned out.
And how did you clean it out?
Well, I mean, they took out all the extra stuff that's been there, sitting there for the last 20 years.
Well, pipes, there was like pipes that went nowhere, but we've not dug out.
That's what kind of, I didn't know if that was even feasible or if it had ever been done to where the silt and debris that builds up in the bottom, has that ever been removed? To,
No, they didn't, they couldn't get in there to pull, it was too soft.
But they
So-
still seen
They pulled out some, but they're still,
But you're right, they haven't done that. We haven't done that.
swimming suits.
These
I
are
don't know, we
unprecedented
can do that, Tony, is protect.
what?
Swimming suits is what said that.
what they had, and it was too soft to put something.
It would be worth doing that, but
Well, if we rent a big piece of equipment, that should cause it to remain. Thanks.
probably should have done it in July.
So you have any more discussion on this, or are we tasking you with going out and,
Yeah, I would love to call some
See
people
what
and
you
try
can
to
see.
figure out, and then if it's between now and next meeting,
Yeah,
I can give a list of a few firms and say this is how much it would cost to come here, we can have an email vote on it. And say, yeah, let's pick this one firm to come look at it.
Our own well for that purpose?
Well, we've discussed that, and you know what, before sitting up here, I kinda had thought maybe that was a good idea.
But if we're gonna draw against the well that's already.
Where's it
there.
gonna come from? And how are you gonna keep it going? Because you can pump the water in there, but are you just gonna run the well 24 hours a day?
Find another spot in here.
You know what I mean? So the only solution outside of that would be to go into a different aquifer. But is that responsible? If we even have an inkling that water is the abuse of water or whatever, you know what I mean? I think the responsible thing is to fill the pool and try to keep it full and then it's dry.
No, I'm serious. People buy water by truck loads.
but we still have to be able to keep it.
Well, but you're still talking,
Circulated.
yeah, well, you're still talking about, we're gonna capture that water, we're gonna leave it there.
where else can you buy 1 million gallons of water for $600?
Yeah,
It's the drinking water aspect of it.
Yeah,
yeah.
all right, well,
I think mostly we just wanna let everybody know it's really important and that we wanna, try to solve it if we can. And, if we can't, we can't. That's just, it is what it is, but try to.
You can turn it into a state.
That's actually not a terrible idea. It's very sad.
Well, I mean, for people.
Well, it's-
Mud was able to monitor the depth of their well, is that correct?
Yes.
Has anybody monitored the depth of the spring?
Well, my understanding is it's different.
Short of filling up the spring, or is it 15 feet short?
A lot of it is a pressure problem. If there's not enough pressure, it doesn't force the water. The water's down there, from my understanding. But when it's siphoned off somewhere else or the table's low, there's just not enough pressure to bring it up.
Right, that's fair. But
So,
I mean, I don't know how far down it is usable now.
Yeah.
You know, is it a possibility for them to put a pump in the spring and just pump it back up? They could do that.
Imagine that they're the same aquifer, the one we drink from and then
the spring is 90 feet down, I think, and the mud is 300. I think that's what it said.
Yeah, well, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the answer.
Okay, well, this was just a discussion, so.
I'll look for somebody and report back to y'all.
All right, the next item is keyless entry for the fitness center. After looking at the costs, and I won't say that I had this idea before we opened the gym, but I did, but it didn't go anywhere. We are spending over 40,000 a year, approximately, in payroll to have people sit there at the fitness center and do nothing. And, you know, some days there's only 4 or 5 people that show up, or maybe 10 the whole day. So we are looking at a keyless entry for the fitness center that would, it would have cameras at the door so you could see, whether we use a code or a card, that, I mean, I'd love to see it attached to the person's name, but if you've got the camera, then you can see who's coming in, so if there's any damage, and it would not be, you know, it would be something that would probably record and then re-record over. We would only need it for if there was a problem within the gym. And we could probably, I think we have some quotes. Everybody's looked at those.
Yeah. The highest one was like, what, 2,700?
What? John, what did you say?
I think the highest one was like $2,700 for all of it or something like that.
Which is, you know, considering 40,000 that we can save in payroll. So Farley, who is our new employee that's in events since,
We're discussing right now.
Well, it's got to do with what you're saying.
Yeah, well, we're done.
Was the first one that brought this really to our attention about the fact that so much time is just spent sitting around down there and then looking at the payroll and realizing that's just not, it's not a good use of our funds. Now, we want to make sure the equipment stays working, which we know that was a problem with the previous gym because it was unattended. 1,700,
About 17.
about 1,700.
There were several options, but I'm guessing that's the one. The one that's here is the one that was probably the highest.
Yeah, so the top one is the highest, and that included the membership cards like you were talking about, Lisa.
Okay.
So the most expensive we would get was 1,700.
Yeah.
And that's for the cameras, the coded entry, or the keyless entry, the membership card, that includes everything.
Well, I mean, Carly, you would be setting up, just so that, to address people's concerns or fears, you would be setting up some type of maintenance program per se?
Yes, yeah.
For like
we're
a check-in
doing that
every
now,
day?
Actually, yeah, some type of maintenance, whether it's gonna be a like maintenance request box that I would personally go check every other day, every day. Or if it's a automated maintenance request. I'm working on what's gonna be the best fit for everybody. But there will be a maintenance request, so that if you are in there and something happens, or if you notice an equipment isn't working or needs a battery, I can get that in as fast as possible and get it fixed.
And then the only other thing we would need is more coverage from housekeeping,
Yes.
which you know is a little bit, but still less than 40,000. Something we want to have her further delve into, or are we prepared to?
What do y'all think?
I prefer coded, not cards, because I feel like it's gonna be a hassle for someone that, oh, my card doesn't work, I gotta bring it in. Oh, who's gonna do this? Where's the machine that programs the cards? Yeah, so codes could be changed from a phone, they could just call in, go to whoever's gonna maintain that and give them a code and reset it or.
Codes are also really easy to give to everybody in the store.
So are cards.
But you have one card to give to one person. For the code, I can give to 6 people. I mean, I'm not saying
if you have
people
a
will
family
do
that
that.
uses it, like a membership, they got 5 kids and 2 adults, and then they got one card and they're gonna fight over who uses it at what
You
time.
just described more people that went to the gym in the last 6 months.
Partly with the card, let's say I have a card is assigned to me. When I swipe, will it register that Guillermo Guzman went to the gym that day?
Yes.
Will we have a system so we'll know?
So the program, it will each document name, and it will say who is who. So if there is an issue and we find out that, somebody, and it'll probably alert, say if it's on my phone, that somebody tried to swipe 15 times, I can also disable at that point, so that I can go, hey, Matt, somebody's trying to go to the gym 15 times and it's not working, can someone swing by and let me know what's going? Or we can go into that camera feed and go, okay, this person does not have access to the gym and they're trying to get in, who is it? And match the face to the name and we figure out what the issue is.
So as a member, if I wanna share my card with 10 of my friends in Brackerville that are not members, and you'll know that I swiped it 10 times in one day.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, or if it's
You just swipe it and let them roll in.
Well, then they're on camera.
They're on camera.
yeah, we will have camera footage, so if there is any concern, we can
But if
let
my 10 friends come and swipe it 10 times, that's also a red flag.
Ah,
Still finding the music.
More people sort of.
The highest I saw on the list was, correct me if I'm wrong, 8 people in one day? Was it 8?
less. The more I've checked, I think the least amount of people I've seen there, because I checked their logs pretty frequently, was 5. From 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
And these are full salary, there's 2 full-time employees there?
Yes, so we have a full-time that works 6 a.m. to 1, and then a full-time that works 1 p.m. to 8. And right now,
And 2 part-times on the weekend.
Yep, 2 part-times on the weekends, and then we do have a reserve.
Well, this way we can also have it open 24 hours, which might garner some memberships from EPS or
People that are out.
Yeah.
people that have night shift.
I mean, some people have suggested that we let first responders and law enforcement use the gym.
Well, and there was an offer of.
I mean, how many tweakers are gonna be in there vandalizing it when there's GPS and airport control and whoever in there all regular?
Well, motel guests will have access to it, right?
And you can if you do card, is there a time? Can you set it for a day, 2 days, 3 days, or does it have to?
Potentially, within the voted block system, you could set it for a time. I think with the cards you would be able to, and I think also with the system that we were looking at with the cards, there is a code option as well. So if we had a guest or somebody that only paid for 1 day, we could give them a temporary code that expires after so many hours.
Oh,
and
that they could
when they
just
try
do
to use that again, they're locked out.
For guests.
Yeah.
That makes, yeah.
Carly, now the workout, the cameras that are in that might be placed in there, let's say I go work out and, I'm working out, is someone just watching me, will be watching me, or they're just,
No, so that has been a concern that has came up to me. No, my opinion is that we run the footage, like she said, recorded, and the only reason we would check that footage is if we have suspicions of if there is damage or if someone is trying to get in, like my phone alert me, someone's trying to punch a code 15 times. And maybe it is just someone forgetting their code, but we still need someone to go check on that and say, okay, you're not trying to just break
so
it.
nobody will be able to watch me as I'm working out?
No. And I would say that would only be, access would only be in like the security shack.
Okay.
Personally, I would think that would be the best option, is to put it maybe in the security shack to where only the guard that's on duty could get access to that. Not somebody just sitting in the office and looking at it all day.
One of those five, I think. The thing is, every now and then, I'd have to ask one of the people that work there to pull down this bar that I need to do. It's hooked up, I can't reach it. And other times, there's a few people that don't know how to do something with a weight machine. So occasionally, these people that work there do something, but not much.
Well, I do know that they're not licensed fitness people, so they're technically not supposed to be telling you how to use the equipment, because that would cause a liability.
So they are there just to monitor and to kind of keep it clean, make sure everybody's wiping down the machines, but they are not licensed, as I did find out. So if somebody does ask, hey, can you help me work out there, not allowed.
Yeah, well, it's helping me to understand what.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they can give a free description, but as far as like going in.
Yeah, like a how to, and maybe we could start promoting some type of fitness buddy. They'll work out alone.
Yeah.
Right.
Or just Google it. I mean,
Maybe we can lower it, the thing to lower it down a little bit, so you can.
Folks in town.
Well, then somebody could do a cruise in the morning.
Yes, thank you. I mean, it's definitely something that we can problem solve.
I have one more big problem. You know, most of the machines are great, but they are, as I understood it, not brand new. So there's two treadmills. One is stuck at a incline, and nobody wants to use that treadmill because we don't know what number incline it's at. So everybody lines up trying to use the one treadmill that works. So I actually tried to contact the company, Lifeline it is. And one of the first questions, well, what's the account number that you bought? And I'm like, okay, thank you. So that, I mean, it's a really nice looking treadmill, but nobody uses it.
Carly, can we contact someone to fix it?
I have asked about that. I asked the previous recreation. She's still trying to work on it. I know also there's some equipment that it doesn't have batteries right now. I did get one put in and I'm waiting on the other one to be delivered. So I am trying to work as fast as I can on getting stuff fixed in there.
Will you keep us abreast once that walker or that treadmill is fixed?
What?
Can you keep us abreast when that thing is fixed?
Yeah.
Hopefully it can be fixed within 30 days? Is that
I'm
reasonable?
trying to fix it like this.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
30 days. Let's go on.
There's a little screen on the reasonable, but everything doesn't work out.
That's only a pull down. But I can do it.
No, I don't have to do it. I guess do we motion? Is there,
Make a motion to approve it.
The first off,
which one?
Approve the $1,700. It's $1,752.78, which gives us the best bang for our buck.
Keep at it.
Cards, 4 cameras, 2-door access control system.
And the second, potentially, the second door, there's 2-door accesses, and we really only need one into the gym. The second one we could possibly put at where the pool tables are. Because we keep that locked because of damage, and that way people don't have to call security.
The second price is 14, but that does not include 2 locks like the first one. So they're gonna be the same price by the time you get 2 locks.
does Troy recommend cards or code?
I haven't told it that.
I'm sorry.
Well, this has the potential for both.
Okay. Again,
So
Would
you
that
may,
include adjustment of the use of personnel? People on staff working on that. I mean, I think that's part of
yes, that's part of
this decision, but it ought to be included in
the motion.
the motion.
Oh,
like we might have moved around.
and my suggestion for Cassie would be to give the employees that are there 30 days. To give them a chance to either see if there's another position on their board or to be looking for something.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And that'll give Farley time to get it up and running and make sure it's working. That sounds right.
That's reasonable. That's reasonable.
Just a little history, I think, I don't know if people know, but
The reason that they moved it over from the adult center over there was because the air conditioning was working. But also the plan was to, if you wanted to use the gym or whatever you want to call it, it was going to be a membership, just like the golf course. So you would have to pay to use the facility.
I don't pay a membership at the golf course. What are you talking about?
No, if you want to play golf, you pay.
That's a green fee.
All right.
Yeah.
This was
A
going
trail
to,
fee.
yeah, this was going to be a fee to use the facility, like a gym or an indoor pool where you pay to use it, things like that. That was the original plan.
By some.
Yeah, well, I understand. I'm
And the
just
5
saying,
people using it could pay and we'd lose all the money in the world because they'll never cover the cost of anything.
I
5
understand
people.
that. I understand that. That's not the point. The point was, because of what you're saying about the keys and all that stuff, it was gonna be, you would have to pay a membership to belong to the gym, if you wanna call it gym,
Yeah.
and therefore, there would be somebody on duty who would maintain the
Even,
place.
we'd have to have 20 times the usage we have right now to justify paying a staff.
I understand that.
Okay,
All
what's your
I'm
point?
saying
Okay.
is that if you're gonna issue keys or a card, that maybe people should just pay for the card.
Well,
It's
yeah,
not
there
gonna
we
bring-
go.
The cost of the cards is probably, it's a piece of plastic. They give you one every
You
time
know,
you check into a
you're
hotel.
You're talking about trying to make money for the fort so that we can
This
exist.
is a one-time cost, not $1,700 a month.
This
It doesn't
is,
matter.
this is a fort
You
amenity.
have to pay, is it amenity? That's the point. Is it or isn't it?
It is amenity.
On the adult center.
Yeah.
When you had somebody on duty.
No,
Yes,
there wasn't always somebody on duty.
there was for years,
Well,
somebody.
there wasn't.
Maybe a better analogy to make is that Lisa and I walked through, several of us walked through the adult center from, I've never really been in there and went from one end to the other and saw what it used to be. And it's not even open.
I know that.
So what I'm saying is that there's no electricity being burned in there, there's no water, there's no nothing, nothing's going on in the adult center at all.
Sure, the electricity's not on?
And they're saying it's not being used. And there's nothing going on in that 10,000 square foot that we have there. Why talk about a $1 or $2 charge for not even it would be like 50 cents for a card. Why are we, doesn't even make any sense. Like, why would we charge for that?
Only
Why
if they
not?
use it.
Because it's peanuts, not worth the headache.
Is it?
Yes.
If I wanna use the gym, if I came to you and said, I need a card, okay, give me $1, here's your number, here you go.
And Bill, you know
Well,
what?
if
You have a right to
card,
do that. You
can
wanna
just
give a
put it in your
donation, go ahead.
pocket and use it forever.
I know that, but you pay to get the card. That's what I'm saying.
You're already paying $100 a month for the amenities in here. So $1 for a card is gonna balance the budget.
The amenities that we get, we pay through our membership, it doesn't cover anything.
Covered the gym for the whole time until recently someone tried to suggest it and members cried so loud that you said, definitely we're not charging for it. That's what I.
Well, I'm just saying that was the original plan. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And there would have been somebody on staff who was licensed.
Good luck paying for that. I mean, we're already breaking the bank with some high school students.
They already had somebody.
Let's get a personal trainer in there.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. We need to restate the
I'll,
motion.
yeah, I'll revise the motion to accept the propose to accept the $1,752.78 estimate for the first option, and to allow 30 days for the employees there to see if they can find a new home at FCSA. If not, allow them obviously to find a place somewhere else, and for Carly to work with them to come up with a plan to be handled with the new general manager in making sure that it's clean, and then we have a maintenance report system.
I second it.
All in favor? Mr. Water?
Yeah, owners.
Okay, so we have a variant, a considered approval for a variance.
Well, isn't it the same one we just denied recently?
No,
The whole new.
You're gonna have to walk through, it's supposed to be money, mine's a little.
Yeah, this is not, how this thing.
Well, that goes in executive,
Oh, that,
right?
but this and this aren't. I don't know how this got in there. It may have been sent, I sent her wrong. Yeah, so sorry, the rest of that, is in the back of the packet, the rest of it. So Davina, I don't know how to pronounce the last name. I'll go with,
Yeah, those aren't bad.
no, it's toward the bottom, sorry,
It's these right here, the pictures.
toward the back of it. So let me see, correct me, there's an issue with,
Oh, there's.
part of the reason for this is because of dogs jumping into your yard. Unit 15. I'm gonna let us look at it real quick first. This, the highlighted part is unit 15 CCNR. Which states,
Is that better? Do you wanna come up to the mic?
oh, I just told it that. Wait, just a second.
Sorry. President.
So there's two things. Unit 15, she would like a fence that is taller than what is allowed. And so there's two things to consider. One is that in the new changes, we cannot prohibit a property owner of the association from installing a type of a perimeter fence. And the code says we can regulate the type of fencing that the property owner may install. That's all it says. It doesn't say anything about height. It doesn't say anything either direction. So my assumption would be that we go by our CCNRs, but, and then that would mean, do we grant a variance? I find it very interesting that in Unit 15, it's a 4-foot cap on what you can put up for a fence, but inside that fence, you can put up a 6-foot dog fence.
Well, I do have 6 foot on the back side and in the middle that had already.
That
bought the
previously,
property. So really, if I understand the front part, if that can't be 6 foot, but side
side where my neighbor's is currently chain link at 4 foot, and the dog climbs on the fence and jumps over into my yard. So I was trying to put a wood fence on that side, and then that way it can't climb over.
And you want it 6 foot like the other two.
At least on that side.
Like a
yeah.
privacy fence.
Yeah, at least on that side to where the dog, or where my neighbor's yard.
We're having all these problems with dogs.
Are the dogs endangering you or your family? Or are they just a
No,
nuisance?
They bark all the time, 24/7, and it's not just her dogs. The one in the front also, her little lady. But her dog gets out. They go through the trash. All the trash ends up in my yard somehow, from all of my neighbors. So it's just, I just don't want the dog in my yard.
Can you show me on the photos what exactly, so that I can relate? This is the picture
That's
of
the
the front.
front. Yeah, that's the front.
You're not asking for 6 foot there.
If I can't, I mean, I was trying to put it all even, but that's okay being 4 foot. I wanna replace that because those are all kind of broken and stuff.
If you wouldn't mind us, you're okay if you could,
That can
if
be
we can
worked.
approve 6 foot too.
Yeah, I just wanna enclose it so that the dogs, the gate's broken on the side
Can
of
you
it.
show me on that where your, on this, where is your, this is your front picture, right here?
Yes,
Okay, and then you're wanting to build
So
fence
this-
from here to here to here, and you already have 6 foot there? So
I have
everything-
6 foot here, and then this 6 foot is the neighbors,
Okay.
and then in the middle, right here,
In your carport
in my
area there?
carport, that's 6 foot.
Okay.
This is the only 4 foot that I have.
Okay, thank you.
Just for clarification, what you want is a privacy fence on the side and the front, and you would prefer it to be 6 foot. But
I'm okay with the front
being 4
part
foot,
being 4 foot, I just want that
side to be
side
6 foot.
6 foot because of the dog jumping over the fence.
But you're gonna replace the picket fence with a
Yeah.
solid wood.
Yeah, it'll be wood, it'll
Solid.
still be the same price,
Privacy.
but it'll just be smaller.
Saying, we said it's our provisions in the CCNRs say pet enclosures within the lot may be 6 feet in height with approval of the committee in writing.
Right, but the regular fence is off the court.
Right,
Yeah.
but essentially, from here to here is a pet enclosure.
Well, I mean, you could pop that
It's pet enclosure
for the name.
both ways, right?
I think there's already 6 foot foot
And they're
fence,
already,
someone slipped in somehow with the variance.
yeah, they're already good.
But the 209 says that we cannot prevent or putting that type of fence.
But we can regulate materials and height, because it doesn't stipulate height.
Okay, so then we issue the fence, just materials and height, no, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so you put a fence up for 209. To manage that.
I would recommend 4 in the front. Just,
I agree with that.
that makes
I mean, we don't wanna. I don't think putting a 6 foot fence on the side sets a precedent at all. It's already been set, probably by all your adjoining lots or all down your neighborhood are probably 6 foot fence. But in the front, that would be a precedent per se, so.
So I don't have a problem with the 6 foot
On the side,
on the side, and then 4 foot on the front.
there's gonna be cedar.
Yeah.
And so the dog is jumping your chain link fences on the side?
Yeah, if you go to my house, you can see where the chain. Now, there's a big gap in between the top posts.
Because they're
Because they're, he's fine with it.
And the one you have there now, is that less than 4 foot?
Yes.
So.
Or,
So
I
4
mean,
foot should.
it's like the top part is probably 4 foot, but then it comes over like that. So I just wanted to make that even, and just 4 foot top.
You see,
We should
removing
solve the
that,
problem.
removing that
Chain link fence?
chain.
So because like we had like 4 dogs, so what he was gonna do is put it as close as he could,
You got it,
frame, and then build it and then move it, because if not, the dogs would essentially be everywhere. There's
So
no
it's-
way to close it.
So is that chain link yours?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay, but you could take it down after you put.
Yes,
Yeah.
Since you're having a dog farm, are you gonna consider, since you're putting up a new fence, it may go under?
I think,
Maybe too lazy for that.
Put a cement base, I don't know, just
yeah, I think that's what he.
Okay. cement base. I have absolutely no problem with her request for a variance for a 6-foot fence on the side and a 4-foot wooden fence.
Yeah, the one in the front doesn't need a variance because we're allowed
All we're giving you a variance for is the side of your.
the side, right? Do we have a motion or?
I make a motion. I make a motion to allow her to put up a wooden fence on the side of the house at 6 foot.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
How soon are you gonna do it?
Ready
Immediately?
to go. Ready to go. All right, so all in favor? So 4 foot on the front, 6 foot. And I'm assuming architecture has approved it. The fencing structure already? Yes. Okay,
You all are good with that? That's good?
yes, okay.
Perfect.
You're good?
Thank you, Gary.
So you just need to, maybe I'm gonna have dollars at the front, get that.
The Good Sam's, is that for renewal? I could never get a good idea of how
Being a bank for them.
how big of a bang we're getting for our buck.
How much does that thing cost?
I think it's 3,000 for the year.
What do they do?
Well, they have their own Good Sam's website and we have like a portal on there.
What, just
Is there any
outright
RVs here who
booking
use
or-
Good Sam's? Is it any good?
I don't think my experience, but if I'm looking for an RV park, someplace to stay, I check Angela, I check Good Sands. It services marketing, it services employment contact with them.
Yeah, because we can put our pictures.
And Good Sand has a very good reputation of it. Their rating says something and you go, it's a piece of park.
Okay.
You know, they have to meet their standards.
And we did in the past. So, they're bugging me, so they must think we're still have a high enough standard.
I mean, reasonably full though with people working with the solar.
Or like to skip a year?
Well, I'm just saying, if we're full with people working with solar, why are we paying $2,000?
It's gonna be soon for another year.
Well, we do still have open for overnights and stuff like that. And
The only reason I know is
And if we drop it and then 6 months from now, we realize that the bookings are going down, can we just turn it back on?
that I don't know. I don't know if we have to, if they wipe it, so we have
Or they do
to.
get the same price?
reset
A lot of time when you quit a contract, you come back, they're like, oh, now.
They're more. Yeah.
We might be worth keeping it.
well, because we wouldn't quit it if we did our pay for a year and we've done a year. We haven't quit anything, we just decided not to renew.
Yeah.
Right, then
Well, I mean, if 6 months from now, we decided, well, actually, let's get back in bed with Sam, then they may not charge the same price. They may be, I don't know,
Or maybe we get the discount again for review.
maybe. The ones that come back and get a good deal.
not at the, you mean open? I
Yeah,
do not.
available for 90 minutes.
I do not, and I have to find out. We can find that out.
I can also.
I walked in this morning, there's quite a few.
Really? I
Yeah.
thought there were people.
Well, one group has left
Oh.
and another one hasn't come in yet, from my understanding.
You could always ask.
I'm sorry for all these papers.
If you could always ask the facility you're thinking of, Bob, for a year, what would it cost to come back the following?
Yes, Brian. it's budgeted.
And we can ask that question, yeah. I don't know if we have to rebuild the site, I mean,
Yeah, you
because
can
we
go-
have pictures and everything.
You could give a sob story about where they're putting in a new solar farm and they wiped us out, we have no.
This is like.
I'm sorry, it is 36.
Let's start with that.
Just this.
Speak the qualification.
Website.
Yeah, because we're already their customer and they're asking us to renew.
Oh.
So.
Is it renew?
Renew, and they're gonna say you need to spend it.
Right, no. So, I don't know. You know, they give you the stats of how many clicks to the website, but you know, what that really means, I don't know. You don't know?
It's a question for Christina. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yes. Reservation request forms, web links, yeah. And we could put a calendar of events, activities.
It's total referrals to your website. Nobody requested a reservation on the website.
Yeah, they just have a link there that tracks all, you click it, we send them to the full park website.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Which is not a whole lot.
I don't know if we were accepting Chinese or asking questions, but.
No questions for you.
Okay. I would just encourage the board, not to be penny wise and pound foolish. I think $3,600, ooh, that's a lot of money. I think it's established. We're trying to encourage more RVers here. The RVers sometimes turn into full-time residents. We've already established a relationship with Good Sam. I would encourage the board to keep that up.
The thing is, we just couldn't measure, you know, if we got enough bang for our buck last year. We don't know.
I get that.
Somebody there should be able to tell us that.
I don't know that. I'm just giving you my opinion. I think that you guys have to make that decision. And I appreciate the fact that you're trying to be frugal and that you're trying to make sure that the money that we're spending is bringing a return. Okay? I appreciate that. Also know that especially with Eclipse and other things coming up, any place that we use that has a points people here, I think is a good thing. And I also think that at some point you can work yourself into a hole where, well, I don't know what our bang for the buck is. Go your gut. You know, at some point you can't always prove everything you want to prove. Some things are unknowable.
Lately, it's been a lot.
Well, I get that. I get that. I also think that the fort could use a little bit of constancy. So, you know, another year for this, I would just encourage you guys to look at doing that. I think in the long run, the intangible is there. We may not know for sure, but I think it's a good idea to have our name and face out in front of the RVing community.
Well, and I suppose with the Eclipse, I didn't think about that too, is whether we have room for them or not, they'll be looking. So they'll see the site regardless.
Talking about the RV park, they see there's $150 for the 50 amp fee.
Okay.
Okay, but the site rental is over 28,000. Are they paying for 30s or 50s amps?
Well, that's
Because
why
a
I went
lot
to
of those campers are big, and I know my little one, I like 50 amp because of the microwave and everything else. So are we losing money on that 50 amp fee because are all those campers running on 30 or 50 and we only charge for $150?
I saw that in the report too, and I when I went there this morning, I went and flipped up a bunch of the empty ones, and they were all 50 amp, but I didn't want to wake people up or go look at their
Lurking
deal.
around there, Chris.
So I just looked at the ones that obviously nobody was anywhere around, and they were all 50 amp. And it kind of surprised me because generally you have a choice between 30 and 50 amp, and most RVs run 30 amp, and your
Yeah,
bigger
if
ones
they
go to
used
50
to have
amp.
an adapter from a 30 to a 50, you plug into the 30 and then
Yeah,
it comes off. So
but I was surprised that so many of them were 50. So
I just-
Well, and I don't know what our fee is if that 100, if it's an extra 25 for 100 for a 50 amp. So is that what?
my
Six
guess is
people?
it's getting sucked up into the overall cost in the report for a 50 amp. Because it's been like 150 every time I've looked at the
Yeah,
report.
and that's,
So I
that's very
don't, yeah.
So it may not be separated out, but it's something that we can look into.
But I actually asked Lisa that, yesterday I asked her, are we charging more for 50 amp than 30 amp? Because all RV parks do.
all,
So Okay.
But we'll double check and make sure it may just be lumped into
Are
the,
they both on the same pool?
No,
Okay, because that's the problem that they are.
yeah, no, there's. Do we have a motion? Either to approve or- Oh, I'm sorry, Barbara, I forgot.
Sometimes having the good SAM rating is a
And it's out.
motivator for the RV park to live up to that standard. Because they do inspect the parks. And if you're not up to a certain job, it affects your rating. But you could end up with a negative rating if it's in the fund. I see it as a good barometer how well the park is actually being operated. Maintained.
When you call Good Sam's, there was that a person on the other line, and they could say, pork large.
No,
Getting any attraction?
Yeah, no, there wasn't a. It's
That's
all
all
been by,
in the email, it asked you. How many hits did we get on Good Sam's? How many hits Good Sam got on us?
I did not get. No, I did not have the time to get that one.
But do they book it? Do they go to the Good Sam website and list it in there? Can they tell us how many bookings they have taken for us that are not someone calling into the office or knowing somebody or coming in here? Can they give those numbers?
Yeah.
Do they not have some type of like reporting that they send
Yeah,
regularly?
they
or
send-
This
they-
is all the- or they-
They gave me the numbers, but, you know, some of them don't know what it means. It's a click. Did they go and look and then book it with us? You know, after they saw it there? I don't.
Like on Facebook, you can tell how many people liked your stuff. So we don't know if we have, there's no measure. If they can provide us something, let's go for it. If they can't provide us something,
They are providing you something. They're giving your guests a discount, and that brings them in to the RV park because they get a discount.
and that part I understand, Ms. Sharp. The problem is, was it 2 people or 1,000? We don't know. There's no, somebody should be able to tell us on the other line, this is what we did for you. Thus, we want you to give us another members money, $3,600 for the service we're providing for. That's the only thing I'd like to know. If it was 10 people they referred, is it worth $3,600? That's where I'm at. So, ma'am,
I said 3, but it's 3,600.
Oh, it's
$3,600. And I understand Curtis's position too. Is it gonna be one more thing? Understand. Tony?
I think if we don't approve it, it would be to our disadvantage. I think we're on a roll, and we need to keep as much exposure as we can continue to get from things like this.
If you have a place that people have gone and seen you, and then you suddenly people go there and they're like, why are they not there anymore? It makes you look like you're hiding something, or like you're not up to that standard.
What about the market?
Working on it.
No, but you gotta include that then.
so I don't know what's
I
right or
think
not,
it should be.
Yeah.
but I think maybe some of this data memo, okay, so if I'm reading this right, a rolling 12-month from 6/1 to 5/31, total clicks to your website, 283. From our website, 252.
So they're going there.
The others are from the mobile app.
And then the other ones are from the mobile app.
So what's that mean?
That's a good question. But it sounds like, but it sounds to me like 29 clicks are coming from some other source, but they're generating.
Is it more expensive to click it to buy it directly per month or to buy it from the other way?
Yeah, I guess they get a discount, is that what, it's a good Sam's?
Yeah, card, when you check in or when you pay, you just get a discount. You paid for that discount too, that's all you.
Gotcha.
But outside of 31 other clicks, they're generating all the other.
Well, they have a
Clicks to
following.
our
They definitely have a
So you
following.
think that's good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And our peers also.
I just.
Without Good Sam, we're looking at 31 clicks to our website according to this piece of paper.
But that's from their website. They have no way to track how clicks are going into our website from outside the world.
That's what I was
They're
gonna
only
ask you.
redirecting that from their mobile app or from their thing, and there's a link to our website. Someone clicked it, moved on and read more about
So
it.
how do they,
But considering our website and how we market ourselves,
So
what
how does that-
traffic are
how
we
do-
getting all by ourselves?
31.
Because like,
What did you say, 31?
We can leave all.
it's like, you clicked on this, it forwards it to Fort Park. Before it does, it logs it like this link has been clicked and we know where it came from. Just like if you do a Facebook ad or something, you put out a link and you just get a unique thing to click on in that.
I have to be back.
Good at.
Marketing campaigns and stuff, it can tell you where they came from. They sent it to us, they sent that traffic to our website. But I don't think that means that they came here and bought a home, or they came here and rented a RV slot. And anything on the website and any one day, it doesn't seem like it has that. They don't have access to it.
I can't read mine. There's no ink.
Called in and asked them about it, I mean, they have a phone line, but that's like 1 month.
They should be able to give you comparable, like, of other RV sites. So say we got 200 and something clicks, they should be able to give you like 5 other examples. So if we're not getting.
I would love for it to pay for itself, but.
We are in the book.
Do you have
Looks like a listing. Yeah, but on the site itself, which, more people do that now than anything, we have multiple pictures, multiple places for them to look at the whole facility.
It's online.
So, do you have a motion?
You see that with the Good Sam profile, you get 12 photos on your listing details page to showcase your tent.
And I did look on there, we need to update.
There are a lot of pictures.
I'm positive we need to.
Well, do we have a motion?
Move, we renew it.
Second,
One second.
right? All in favor?
And renew our pictures and stuff.
Yes, and we will take care of the pictures on there.
Yes, sir.
Who's paying for that in terms of is that marketing?
Yes.
I would have to look, because I don't know where he had it coded last year.
If it's not, we
Who's
should.
paying for this?
Oh,
What do you mean?
Well, you're having a parents night out under the sea at Fort Fonsbury, so
Yeah,
it costs money.
yeah,
And okay, so if somebody had to print it,
we printed it.
right, so it costs money.
Yeah, so,
Same with this,
yes,
costs money.
what's the point?
So isn't Good Sam's the same thing?
Well, yeah, we just
Marketing.
paid to do that.
Yeah, well, that's, we will be talking about. Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Everybody's looking dazed over.
I don't like what you're saying.
So you want that vote? Yeah. So, last but not least, for you, Lynn.
No, no, wake up. Wake up.
The, recycle center, the double header for recycle, for a storage building. want to,
Take a 5-minute
all
break.
right, here, well, or you can just. You're the vice president.
But you, the building you want is a full building, correct?
Yeah, and for everybody's information, we have a baler, we're making bales. We need to put them somewhere,
Storage.
and so we need to keep them out of the weather, hopefully rain. But the sun isn't really good either because we wrap them, the bales with something called shrink wrap, which is like saran wrap. And the sun starts beating at that stuff and it starts to unravel. So we figured out the choice is to cover these bales. And incidentally, before we could make a bale, we need about 8 boxes full. So we have that as another space issue. So what we're trying to do is say, we probably need something outside of the recycle center to put this stuff. So that means a storage container, which looks like a railroad car. And they do come 40 feet long, 8 feet wide always, and some of them you could get is 9.6 high. So that's one choice. The other one is to have somebody build what looks like a carport, only it has to be enclosed. So we need at least 3 sides, and it would be great for a front door, maybe to keep rodents out. Probably not necessary, but that's another part of an expense for a building.
You need a community cat.
The third
Keep the rodents down.
Say what?
You need a community cat to keep the rodents down.
Yeah, well, that, I don't know what we have out there. And the third thought we had was a lean-to, have somebody build off the side of the building. Our building is 30 by 40 feet long. So we were looking at the first cheapest way is a lean-to, attach it to the side wall, level the ground, put something down and build a lean-to. So, but that would have to be pretty good size, but not interfering with the present roadway. So those are, that's what we need.
What do you prefer? What's your number one choice?
A building is the number one choice, but it's the most expensive.
That's one for $12,555.
Yeah.
And you already
There's, well, I priced,
but you already have 5,000 toward it, right?
I have $5,000 and I also have 2,200 that we made for this year.
So you already have
I have
7,000. 7,200, and the price is 12,555.
Well, that's what I got off the computer. Okay, I looked at different carports companies, and I wrote down particularly the size that I think would be adequate is 26 wide, 25 long, 10 feet high. And mainly thinking that way because the bales are 48 inches high. And so you gotta consider how big is the bale and how much are you gonna put into a building. So the the building prices went anywhere from say 6 to however. I did get one that said 11,000 something. So now I'm gonna tell you something different.
Elaine, I hate to interrupt you, but just for clarification, The one for 12,555 is 24 by 35 by 10 feet. That's
Yeah.
exactly what you just described.
Yeah,
So that's the one, that's the number one choice.
yeah,
But hold on, time out. There's one aspect that's being missed, and that's it has to have a slab. That's without a
A
slab.
slant or,
yeah, we have
or
to have-
caliche?
caliche is good for if we got a storage container,
Okay,
but concrete is the way to go.
okay.
It's a foundation underneath a
Yes,
building,
of course. That's the best way to go.
and so that's what they recommend.
And
Now,
that's
the
at
other,
$8 a square foot, which is probably cheap. That's $7,000 roughly, so you're looking at 20 grand for
20
that
grand.
building.
at least,
And we have 7,200, so now we're looking right now short 13,000.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
But that's
yeah.
only if it's 7,000, it may be more.
Now, I have a guy, our original building, 15 years ago, was built by the name of a guy by John Jones, who retired. And it turns out, I spoke with Steve Woods, who
Yeah.
knows so many people that are in construction. And he gave me the name of a guy who came yesterday, looked at the site, said this, said that. He has men who do concrete slabs. And Monday, he's gonna give me a bid.
Nestle.
Yeah. And I told him the size that we wanted, and where it should be. Joe, our forklift guy, wants it to be in back of the building. And he said it could be just the same as our present recycle center. In other words, it's got a flat but slanted roof, it's got galvanized metal. So, and it would look, like a twin. I said, well, yay didn't part away. Our other option is a storage container, which is about $6 grand. And he said, there's no way I could compete with that. So he's thinking probably, I'm saying this out of turn because I don't have the bid. But it'd probably be between 18 and 20. So I said, okay, let me get the bid. So,
18,000 to 20,000 for
Yeah.
cement, just for cement?
well, somebody else does the cement, so I'm not sure. I can't. Monday is when he said he'd be able to send me the invoice. So that's that's the board's.
Well,
And then, so
I'm
did you already talk about because it ran out?
I'm thinking that if we spend,
storage containers.
if we were to spend $25,000, and we're averaging $1,000 a month on cardboard and recyclables, the thing could pay for itself in about 24 months.
I can't guarantee anything.
No, but more or less, I'm
It's
throwing
our
out more or less.
members who give us the recycle. And also every month, the prices of our products changes. Cardboard,
more or
when we
less.
sent it in June, was $65 a ton that we would get. And 2 months prior, it was 80. So you don't know what's going on with the world.
Okay, 30 months.
Yeah. So I don't want, I don't want to be boxed in and say, oh, that sounds right, when I'm not sure.
And, well, what are the downsides to the,
Storage container, the downside is 8 feet. That's side to side, but if you have to go in, it's 7.6. So because there's a couple of inches lost on the interior space. So has one door. It could be 2 doors, makes it more expensive. So, and caliche, oh, by the way, the guy that came yesterday said all of that caliche that's in our open field could be totally useful. So there's a lot of it, and
Yes.
that would be, I'd have to ask your permission to use it. I don't know.
if we
who-
use a storage container?
Or, yeah, no, he could use it, mix it in with the concrete, I think is what he
But
was saying.
I think because it's on a slope, you have to build it up to get the
Yeah.
proper elevation.
It does go downhill to the backyard. And we would have to clear, there's a couple of little skinny mesquite there. And he said you could take a backhoe and knock it down. So, but there's an awful, I don't know where the caliche came from, and I don't know whose,
It's ours.
it's ours.
Yeah, Mallory,
So,
Well, it would just be used as a foundation for the slab.
right,
Yeah.
or for the container,
and
depending
or
on.
the,
But you're saying that your dimensions on the bale is 5 feet wide and 30 inches from front to back.
and 48 high.
So can you even put them side by side?
Sure, we could
When you
turn
turn
it
them on
any
30
way we
inches.
want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe has done that, when we're trying to load an 18-wheeler. Yeah, with our bales. So,
Which is like.
which is what we're gonna continue to do, so. Yeah, so, I mean, you might have to think
Is
about
there an
this.
urgency? Because if we could save more money, maybe.
No, yeah, it's getting crowded. We bought 2 giant tarps and put stuff outside. You know, we have cardboard and we have pallets and actually if truth were known, the aluminum bales really don't have to be covered. I mean, I've saved the sun that's not great for that to be in. But if we had rain on aluminum cans,
Yeah, Francis.
our other big product that we have most of is mixed paper. So we're doing bales of mixed paper. That definitely has to be inside because it's,
That's just
Maybe.
saving
Otherwise it'd be.
space on the
pulp.
landfill.
yeah, it'd be a mess.
Francis had a question. I think,
Which is why hardly,
With the container, aren't you gonna have to move these boxes and bring bales around with the tow hooker? Can you get them in?
yeah, the bales are 48 inches and, 60 inches wide, 48 the other way, and 30 this way. It's hard to, it's a 3-dimensional thing. But if you turn them, you can manage to put them in. It's hard. I mean, right now to make a bale, we need 3 men. We need 1 on the forklift and 2 men on the side. So this is all volunteer. It's a real art to get this stuff done. So, but that's the only way we know how. Because right now the product goes into these 4x4x4 cardboard boxes. So somehow you have to get that box lifted. The bale or opening starts up here.
Yeah.
So you gotta, and so Joe built the box with a chute, and so it's a real thing.
Well, right now, the number one thing that you want is 12 5x5. Can you shoot us an email on what the cement's gonna cost, or we know the total amount?
When I get this, he
Bid.
said by Monday,
Okay.
I'll have some better information
Okay.
from him. I
Now
mean,
give us a total cost.
Yeah, and I asked for that,
Okay.
Lean,
yeah, so.
is the thinking on these building blocks, whatever we want to have, that it will hold what, a truckload of bales?
Well, we were
Or-
hoping to put in not only bales. I mean, right now we have 9. Okay. But we also need to hold 1 bale of mixed paper requires 8 boxes of stuff. In order to make a bale. So we're gonna put some of that in the facility. Storage facility.
To pick up what we do now.
Right.
Right, to pick up the gator.
Yeah.
It's what, 40 gaylords per
Right.
truck?
Yeah, but that's right.
Okay, so when you bail this stuff, the truck will hold actually less gaylords, but more
Bales,
bale.
that's right.
So when, you thinking in terms of this building, that it would hold, a truckload of whatever,
Right,
the storage, and then you can pull the truck once every month. Because they'll have them bail, it would be a physical wrong.
Right.
That's all I'm asking.
we also, by the way, to say something to Memo, the bails get us more money.
Yeah.
And what we're hoping, the whole reason to get the bailer was to reduce the amount of shipping, which cost 600, that this June. Okay, cardboard is free, we don't pay for it. But every time we ship bales or boxes, it's 600, this was 605 the last. So that's a killer when you're only making $1,200. And you gotta give some waste management billion, company, $600 every time. And of course, that, I don't know how to change the amount of money that we have to spend on shipping, but that was the idea of getting the bailer to reduce the amount of shipping, because we could take 8 boxes and make one bale.
That's right.
Well, let's, yeah, we need a little more information in the
Right.
extra bid.
Yeah,
So let's, just table this until we have the.
okay.
Yeah,
And
Thank you.
if I could, email you all what he sent.
Yes, yeah,
Yep.
just email it, that would be.
Okay,
Thank you.
and that's one. Now, if you want to get a second bill, I could get somebody to come out here.
It would behoove you to get at least 2 or 3 bids.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's normal, so I should. The other part is, the guy, I don't know if you know where Utopia's has a recycle center, and we talked, to the guy there, and he used carports of Texas, and I'm pretty sure I gave you, some numbers from
Yeah.
them. And so his price was 25, so I don't know if that included the cement.
It had to. I mean, for a 24, because you have pretty much the same one quoted there for 83, so you're saying that all in, they were slab, they were paying $16,000-$17,000.
So it ain't cheap, and so, sometimes with the difficulty of making a bale and getting volunteer guys, I think, was it worth it?
Yes.
Because
Yes,
here
it
we
is.
go, maybe I'd love to pay $600 every time we need to empty our recycle center. So, but anyway, hopefully it'll do better for us in the future, and that was the idea of getting bales. So,
All right.
even mixed paper for years, which we have the most of, we get zero money for it. If you make a bale, you get $20 a ton.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Elena.
Hey, Chen, can you give us a very short answer? When is the market gonna be up?
Hopefully, within 2 weeks for sure. Let me give you
Very short.
Monday.
Very short.
Okay, short, okay.
Very short.
2 weeks.
Monday is a magic day, we're gonna put them up.
Mhm.
And they won't be up there to stay, but they'll be up to be measured for the correct
Okay,
places to hold them up there. They've been wired, they've been painted, they're
Everything's
gonna be
moving.
beautiful when they go up there, stay there.
everything's moving.
Progress
Okay,
being made.
Okay, so. Perfect, thank you.
2 weeks, 6 months time.
Next,
I'm gonna say 2 weeks.
here,
And Jim says he's gonna have to leave the country if he doesn't get them up in a couple of weeks.
All right, we are at the end of that. Just a few announcements before we adjourn for executive session. There are flyers in the back for Parents Night Out, $25. The Fall Festival is begun to go underway. Carly is working with, I think, the arts people. Yes. We had the office hours, for those that were confused, 8 to 2 on Labor Day are the office hours, the admin office. And Solar Eclipse meeting is 6 p.m. on Wednesday. And is there any other announcements?
Council or not.
Community Council of the Night. Right.
break.
We're adjourned. Executive session.
Question. That's long. Too long. 3 hours, much time.
Thank you, Elena.
So, yeah.
I don't know, I've never had an active wait. Make sure we do
Yeah.
good business on that stuff.
Oh. But this was, yeah, we're good. You can go have lunch.
I gotta go back.